Your YouTube feed is crap. Stop wasting your time watching bot-boosted shills and self-appointed gurus cloying for your attention. Instead, join the Gosslings interview live stream and podcast. The Gosslings, a dark-lit digital speakeasy of free thinkers. A super chat of radical truth-seeking wizards who eat trolls for second breakfast. Topics that'll make your mama's hair stand on end. Ideas that'll make your pastor's knees knock. Guests that will illuminate the hidden chambers of your mind. And interviews that strike down the darkness. Welcome to the Gosslings.
Look at how tiny we are.
Look how tiny we are.
We're tiny little hobbits. We're little people. There we
There's
go.
3 of us.
And there's all 3 of us.
It's the inky black-eyed children who are watching.
Man, I'm tempted to sign up with Blurred Creatures just to hear that one.
Just to hear that one
Oh,
episode.
it's got to be so good.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know what's up with that thing. That's weird. Oh well, we can roll with it. Ah, there we go. Okay, now we're on.
Now we are ready to roll.
Sorry, everyone. Technical difficulties. Please stand by. I'm Jonathan,
I'm Nick.
and we are the Goslings, and we are joined today by the beautiful, lovely, talented wife, mother, the entrepreneur of middle grade fiction, the J.K. Rowling of the American side of the pond, I would say.
Especially the self-published world.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
The awesome J. Reese Bradley. What's
Give it
up,
for
Jay?
Reese Bradley?
Hey, that was great. That was the best intro I've ever had. And I've also never been live. So
Okay, good.
probably the only intro I've ever had.
Well,
Great.
that too. Yes, that's kind of how I angle it, so that it's the only one. Therefore, it's going to be the best one.
Perfect.
Until the next one rolls around.
Well done.
So, okay, well, welcome everyone. We are going to go ahead and do the toast real quick. So lift up your mugs or your glasses with your libations, and I will start, and everyone else will follow. Take up the broken sword of your father.
And strike down the darkness. Cheers.
Cheers. Ooh, we're drinking Dominican rum today, which is a little bit different than our usual bourbon flair. So there was a bit of a time crunch issue, and I had to
That's all right.
requisition some stuff
We
from.
were making some last-second maneuvers.
Yeah,
Emergency
yeah.
maneuvers.
Minus, some very, very last minute detailing.
It's not that bad, actually. It's pretty good.
It's not bad.
It's not bourbon.
It was given to me by a friend who is borrowing my Jeep right now. So,
Oh.
That's a nice
Yeah.
gift. That's a nice gift.
So,
What I
sure.
really want to know is what is J. Reese Bradley drinking in that glass?
I am drinking a white wine. It's South African. It's called Wisdom Point. And I got it
Nice.
from the First Leaf Wine Club that
Ah.
I've been very happy with. I heard about it on I think it was Blaze. The Blaze
Oh, interesting.
or what is that one with Stu and
Yeah,
You know
that's
what
the
I'm talking
Blaze. Yeah.
yeah, the
That's
Blaze.
Glenn Beck's
Yeah.
network. Yeah.
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 Yeah,
it was their
Slightly
ad.
Offensive is on that network. I think Sav is on that network. There are a bunch of cool podcasts and YouTube
yeah.
channels.
Yeah.
all over the place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it was their ad.
Rabbi
right?
Daniel Lappin's on there. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on that. Say that again.
No, it was nothing. No, I was just saying it was their ad. Like ads work sometimes,
Oh,
because they
yeah,
were
yeah,
talking about it, and I'm like, I'll sign up.
It gives you hope whenever you decide to run an ad, because you're like, you know what? Okay, fine. Like ads, they clearly worked on me, so maybe if I do an ad, it'll work on somebody else at some
Yes, I know.
You know?
They don't work
Yeah.
anymore. But
And I love that there are these huge, there's these new, independent networks like Daily Wire, like The
Mhm.
Blaze and so forth that are rising up and giving a platform to people who are, basically on the non-book side of things.
Yeah.
So they can run ads and they can sell their stuff. They don't have to just be, an author or a television personality or, a radio host or whatever, but it allows, other people to run ads and sell their product too, which I think is fantastic. And we can probably talk about that more. Before we get on into all that, I want to talk about you as a self-published writer and your series, the Brumbletide series.
Yeah.
yeah.
Where did this come from? Tell us a little bit about the book one that my daughter and I are actually halfway through. Well, we're about 5 chapters in right now. But tell us about where the story came from and what inspired you to to begin this whole writing journey?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Big
Yes.
question.
My friend Meglator said once that
Seconds
talking
go.
about your books is like talking about your underwear, and I found that to be true. You feel like that?
Yeah, it can be awkward. It does. It's
Yeah. Like, how
very
much
personal.
do you really want to know? You
Right.
know, do you want to know what kind I choose, or do you want to know how I watch it, or do you like that's how deep you want to go here?
Yeah.
How
for
many
sure.
do you have?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But okay. Well, I wrote Daughter of Eve, the first one, Brumbletide and the Daughter of Eve. That was back in. I started it 2017 or 18. It had 2017. And I had just been through like the worst time of my life with postpartum depression and anxiety. Like fell off the deep end crazy. And pretty much, so let's just go ahead and start this interview with oversharing. But for
Yes, please.
Good. That's what we're here for.
like, pretty much most of my life, I was like plagued by OCD, like bad. And for like 20-year stretch, it was like, I mean, unable to get through the day with bulimia. And then when I had my kids, my obsessions kind of like switched. All this time not knowing that I have OCD. Okay. I'm just thinking I'm nuts. And I am. But once I had my kids, I started getting really afraid that something was going to happen to them, and it was my son. Like I was really, really worried that he was going to die, and it ruled my day. And if you don't know anything about OCD, it's this intense fear response to thoughts we all have all the time. This has to do with what you asked me, I promise. Okay.
Yeah.
But
okay.
So like if two people are waiting on a train and one person has OCD and the other doesn't, all of us have this weird thought, like, what if I just jumped in front of that train? Okay. All of us do stuff like that. But while the normal person can just move on with their day, there's this misfiring in the brain with the person with OCD, and they start thinking they will jump in front of the train. And it's like, paralyzing fear. And so they start doing they're called compulsions, to try to get rid of this paralyzing fear. And it just keeps getting worse and worse, because when you engage in the compulsions, they take care of that fear for a little bit, but then it just makes it grow. So
sets up a feedback loop.
It was crazy. So after 20 years of not knowing I had this, dropping out of school. I dropped out of school, couldn't focus on anything. A failed marriage. Just, it was awful, I mean, when I turned 30, I was like, I'm so thankful for a new decade. This is so wonderful, because it's so horrible. But I had, anyway, the flare-ups, the OCD flare-ups happen with trauma and hormonal change and big life changes. So when I had my kids, that was hormonal changes, and I just fell off the deep end when I had my daughter, my second child. Anyway, so I was like seeing visions and all this crazy stuff.
Wow, that's intense.
It was crazy. And I was so self-consumed with something happening to my son, that I started having all these physical, I couldn't do anything, because I was having all this physical anxiety symptoms. So like, headaches, feeling like I'm going to pass out all the time, couldn't drive, all this. It was just awful. Anyway, it was God drawing me into himself. Okay. Because, during that time I had a dream that I thought was going to come true. Okay. About what I thought was something happening to Ryan. And, I was just obsessed with finding out if God still talks to us through dreams. And so I obsessively listened to sermons and, devotionals, all of these things. I had never once read the Bible, was way too lazy to do that. And it was too overwhelming for me. And so So I wasn't going to do that, but I obsessed over sermons and devotionals, couldn't find any relief. And then as a last resort, I'm like, I'm just going to read the whole Bible. I'm going to read the whole thing and see if God still speaks through visions. So I open Genesis and read the whole Old Testament, feeling so much worse. I mean, way worse, because what I had previously thought was, just something bad going to happen. Now I'm realizing God's revealing to me all of my sin through the Old Testament, and I'm realizing if something bad happens to me, I totally deserve for it to happen. Now I know this. And God just worked it out, because he took me through that. I read the Old Testament. He revealed my sin to me. And then right after that, I went to therapy. I got the best counselor. I got on medication, understood what OCD was, learned how that worked. And right after, just kind of getting help, I'm in the New Testament, and there's Jesus. And I'm like, this is the gospel. This is what it's all about. And I've been calling myself a Christian for decades, praying for God to bless my plans, going to church, just calling myself a Christian, but there was no fruit that I was actually a Christian and the gospel. I didn't understand that we're born in sin nature and that Christ died. His death and resurrection is our payment so that we don't experience God's wrath. And just once that was in my heart, it changed everything. God just lifted all of that 20-year plague was gone. And that's awesome. I truly am a new creation. And because of that, because it was just so amazing. And I realized I had called myself a Christian for that long without really being one. That is what led to Brumbletide. Sorry.
Interesting.
That was a long way of getting there. But what Brumbletide is, it is a whole facade of people gathered together, missing the whole point. So that's what led me to write it. And now, but do you have any questions about all that? I'm so sorry.
No, that sounds like a lot of people's experiences.
Well, so there is something in between. There is something between your experience and coming to faith in Christ and becoming a new creature, and then writing the book. Did you hear a voice, or what was it that said?
Is there a dream?
When did you realize I actually need to write this story down? What happened?
Yeah, I had read the Harry Potter series again. I had read the Harry Potter series at 19 years old. And when I was so terrified, that time of just being so afraid that something terrible was going to happen, and even in just the pruning and all that from the Lord, I just loved that series so much because it was just an escape. It was so good. It was such an escape. And I just found so much comfort in it. So I read J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter, then Inkheart. You know that series? Inkheart?
I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, it's another one. I love the middle grade fantasy. I don't know why. Cool. I don't know if it's because I am a child, but they were such a mental escape for me. And so I had always written. I'd always written since I was a kid. And I loved when people read them because I had a second grade teacher that we were doing onomatopoeia, and we all had to write a poem. And she chose a few of the class to write their poem on this huge sheet of paper, and she put them on the wall and read them. And I was like, I'm a star. I want people to read my stuff.
That was your calling.
That's awesome.
But anyway, through all that, after reading that, I just had this vision of Lenore in the book telling someone, because my protagonist is now a girl, but I thought it was going to be a boy. But she was telling whoever it was. She was in the throne room, and she was telling them, "We're all royals here," And I just saw that vision so clearly, and it just started there. And so I sat down. I remember I was so terrified when Ryan went to school. And there's this thing called exposure response therapy, ERP. And what it is when you have OCD, it's facing your fears, basically. So, like, there's different kinds of OCD. Some people have contamination OCD where, they have to be clean and that kind of thing. And so exposure therapy for them would be washing their hands exposure therapy for them would be touching a toilet.
Dirt.
Yep.
Something like that. Or people go to cemeteries and just like expect death. Just that kind of thing. Anyway, so I wrote this one scene that ended up not even being in the series, but about no, it was the vision. It was the vision. Anyway, that's what spawned it on, and that's what spawned the whole thing. I wrote that one scene. I don't even remember what it was, but that's when I just set aside that time that when Anna, my daughter, would take a nap, I would write the whole time. And I wrote the book. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. How long did it take you to write it?
9 months, about 9 months.
Okay.
And I wrote the whole thing, and then it got rejected a million times. Okay, at first it was called Godspeed. It had a whole different cast, and I wrote the whole thing, but I didn't know how to write. I wasn't a good writer at all. And so I submitted it to agents, and it got rejected a million times. So I rewrote the whole thing, and I changed all the names, and now Pippin is a stack, because I had read the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the whole Narnia series, and I was like, wait a minute, this white stag is something. And so it used to be a horse, but now the Aslan type, nobody knows what the book's about, but there's an Aslan type character. Yeah. And it's Pippin in my book, and it's a white stag, which is in chapter 14 of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Right. Yeah. How do you, so you have a life. It's not like you're 70 years old and retired on the beach and just hanging out. Like you're a wife, you're a mom. Like, how do you balance all of that with being an author?
You just have to set aside the time, because we all do things that we want to do. If you want to do it, you're going to do it, because we'll sit on social media all day. We'll watch our shows, so there's time. No matter what you have going, there's time to do it. You just have to set aside the time. And so for book 1, it was Anna's nap. And then book 2, I pretty much wrote it with children hanging from me,
That's impressive.
That's awesome.
I did. I remember Anna just strapped to my back, but then, and then book 3, they were in school. It was like easy, when they went to school, it was easy then. But I mean, Nick, 5 o'clock in the morning at Starbucks.
I had to do it before anyone woke up.
How do you think? Like, how do you?
Coffee.
Yes.
Coffee.
It's a miracle.
Yeah. Just and getting to really, it was like during that time. I mean, the first, the 5 books of the Travis League series were all written between 5 and 8 a.m. Most of it at Starbucks. And then when that was done, I would do that and then go off to work and have the rest of my day. But in the evening, there's no way. There's family stuff to do. You can't do it on a 1-hour lunch break. There's not enough time to really get in the flow of writing and create anything. You have to have large chunks of time, and I didn't have large chunks of time, so I had to make them at the beginning of the day before everything started. It also meant I had to get in bed really early, which was pretty difficult to do.
Yeah.
But had to get up at 4:30, start writing at 5, and poison my liver with too much coffee.
Yes, that's what it goes.
And wreck my nervous system. And at least I have something to show for it.
Yes, you have something to show for it.
I do.
And it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I appreciate that. I
know we're here from me, but if you guys have not read Henry Halfmoon, I'm not kidding. This book is so good. And if Shannon's on this live stream, This is the book I was telling you about. Henry Half Moon. You have to read it. I'm sorry.
Will you do me a favor and just tell everybody, because they're not going to believe it from me. Would you just tell them that I did not ask you to do that just now?
He didn't ask me to do it, but I am going to. I will not rest until this book is successful, because it is,
Thank you.
I'm not.
J. Reese Bradley is not a paid promoter on behalf of Nick Goss or the Gosslings, but
Not
we
at
will
all.
take it.
In fact, I think I annoy you guys. I mean, seriously. I told you my pastor said I torment him.
Yeah, good.
Your friend said, I believe this is your friend that you just referenced. She said that she is on, and she said she's going to read it too. Going to hold you to that.
The one, yes.
No, I appreciate that. I hope I'm glad that you enjoyed it, and I hope she does as well. And that kind of like, you're so good at just talking about how much you enjoyed something and getting, like for me, it's really, really hard to just put my face on camera and say, this is a fantastic book that I just created. You really need to read this and just buy it right now. I can't, for some reason, I struggle to do that. You're so good at it.
Well, yeah, that's why that's what we're going to talk about this, obviously, in our chat, but that's why we have to support each other. Good self-published books. Anybody can self-publish a book. So there's lots of horrible ones.
Yeah.
So the ones that you find they really are diamonds. They're hidden gems, because, not only are they not getting published in traditional publishing, you're not going to find them in bookstores or book fairs or the library. You're not going to find them unless you literally go to the library and give them your book, which I hope that you did.
Even then, you have to have a traditional ISBN in order to, like, you can't just utilize Amazon's ISBN. You have to go through, you have to pay for a traditional ISBN. Then you can take it. And I don't know if they'll take it without it being done through a traditional publisher or not. There is like a benchmark, at least for our library here. They're just, the gatekeepers are everywhere,
Oh, gotcha. My library is awesome. They took my book, and they're so lovely.
That's awesome.
They're so
That's
wonderful.
awesome.
So just
I got some pushback from my local library. They didn't want to. They said, I can't remember, it's several years ago, but they said, no, we don't support self-published authors.
That's so much crap, isn't it?
I'm like, what if they're local? What about this whole support local?
Right.
No. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's why we have to promote one another, and we have to get over it and promote ourselves too. Okay, because it's not just, think of it this way, it's not just for you, it's for conservatives, Christians, just anybody. If you're not against us, you're for us. Right. It's for that, bringing that up, giving a rise to that, and for the future generations, because as of now, they're not getting any Lewis, they're not getting any Tolkien. And there are Lewises and Tolkiens in this day and age.
Yeah. It's not a friendly environment unless you're down for the clown, for clown world.
Yeah, it's true.
If you're down for the clown, then you're good to go.
Yeah.
But if you're not, then man, the chips are stacked against you. And it's so, it has been, like we had talked about, there is an inversion that has taken place of where we are kind of on the fringe and the outskirts, and you have to market yourself a lot harder. You have to promote yourself a lot harder, and you have to either play your cards very carefully or throw yourself out there with reckless abandon, being willing to watch it all burn down in front of you, whatever you built. Because like, it's just, the beast system, it's a Leviathan, and Leviathan smiles. I mean, like, that was one of the questions that I kind of wanted to ask you. There are a lot of things that, full disclosure for everyone, like, we became friends with J. Reese through really Instagram, I guess it was, because I think Nick, you just you found the Travelers League series, I guess, and then just started like making reviews and posts. How did you find out about the Travelers League?
It all started with Teddy Roosevelt.
Yep.
Do you remember?
That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah,
Really?
something about her making a post about who's your favorite president or something like that. And I said,
was it on Instagram?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So
Yep.
I checked out a
Cool.
book about Teddy Roosevelt at the library, and because of that 20-year, plague is what I call it, just being so plagued with OCD. I've
Yep.
really only been alive for 6 years, like really living, and so
Yeah.
I'm not educated, and I'm not I'm just now reading all the classics and all the greats. I just read 1984 not too long ago, and it was
Nice.
so good. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Scary.
Very
Now, to read
prescient
it
to
to
our
read it now,
times.
it's scary.
Uh-huh.
Yes. It's wild. But yeah, I'm just learning all this stuff. 'Cause I dropped out of school. I don't know this stuff. Like I'm reading your book, Jonathan. It's so good. But some of your vocabulary, I'm having to Google so much stuff because I'm like,
I know. I'm sorry.
You know so many
Sorry.
words.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. If it makes you feel any better, the first draft of Empyrean Falling was almost 1,150 pages long. So, I took a lot of cues from Stephen Pressfield, who used a lot of words that drove me to the dictionary. And I kind of it was intentional, but also it's a big stumbling block for a lot of people, because a lot of people, that's one of the great things about middle grade fiction is it's so accessible to everybody. So whether it's Travelers League or whether it's Harry Potter or the Brumbletide series, which I want to get into why it's now a 3-book series as opposed to just one, because that's a major shift a lot of times for a lot of people. But middle grade fiction is so cool. And Henry Half Moon, even though Henry Half Moon's young adult, it still kind of, I think, falls in that category of being accessible by a lot of people. For adults, I would consider that casual reading. You're not gonna have to do that. You have to do that with the Heavenly Realms novels because they're all wordy and they're all kind of inaccessible or a little esoteric, but Brumbletide and Travelers League, Henry Half Moon, all that stuff, whether it's young adult or middle grade, it's just everybody can just pick it up. One time I was waiting for Cameron, our youngest brother, to get ready, and this was 2003, 2004, and I sat down. I was in the living room, and I sat down, and there were the Harry Potter books, and I'd never read the Harry Potter books, right? So I just sat there, and I picked up the first Harry Potter book, The Sorcerer's Stone. Just was all right, whatever. I've seen the movies, I'm waiting on Cameron. He's always late for everything. Next thing I knew, 15 minutes had gone by and I'd read 4 chapters.
Yeah,
It just,
right.
So I get why middle grade fiction is so accessible to even adults,
Yes.
Was it a conscious choice for you to go with middle grade fiction, or was it just something you naturally fell into?
Yes. It was a conscious choice, and I just naturally fell into it because I loved Harry Potter so much.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. I became part of the wizarding world, I'm the patron of the chestnut pony. I'm a proud Gryffindor. Have you guys done that?
Gryffindor, baby. Yeah.
Ravenclaw here. Ravenclaw.
Yeah, Nick's totally
Ravenclaw.
Ravenclaw.
Boring Ravenclaw.
Oh, Ravenclaw. Wait, who was Luna Lovegood Ravenclaw?
Yeah.
Who was she?
Yes.
See,
yes.
Luna Lovegood more than makes up
Yes.
for it. I had a big crush on Luna Lovegood.
Awesome.
That's my jam.
Yeah, I had
My wife is also a Ravenclaw, though, so I'm happy.
What'd you say, Jim?
Rihanna's a Ravenclaw.
Oh, she seems like a Ravenclaw for sure. She's amazing.
She's amazing.
Yeah, Rihanna's
She's
killer.
amazing. I love following her. I can't wait to talk
can do
about
it
the podcast.
Oh yeah. We put Jay Reese and Rihanna in a room together. Those two little spark plugs will just be like Tesla coils, just
Tesla coil.
Okay.
That'd be awesome.
You vibrate apart, whole
She actually-
empires.
She actually made a comment about Henry Half Moon. We went to New York for her 40th birthday.
Oh yeah.
And while we were there, that's where we did all the whole book takes place in Manhattan. The whole story takes place in Manhattan. So we were, doing our research there, gathering names and sites and things. I wanted to be very detailed about, the setting. But there was a very strange spiritual darkness, kind of an oppressive,
almost like
spiritual darkness that you
Ghostbusters
could
2 secret,
It was you could feel it. It was palpable,
ooze.
especially over in the what do you call it? Over in the Village.
Yeah.
Where the NYU campus is.
Yeah.
It was oppressive. You could feel it. Yeah, and I'm
in the
not like super spiritually sensitive or anything.
Yeah, Nick's not like that. He's not that charismatic guy of like, oh, there's weird energy here. But there have been times.
Yeah,
There have been times.
I could feel it there.
Yeah.
There are some places that just.
There was
have
one
that.
time when you remember when we were younger and we went to that studio in Atlanta with
Yeah.
mom and dad?
It's actually on It's at Chattanooga on.
Oh, is it really on Monteagle?
Monteagle, yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Monteagle, the one that overlooks Chattanooga.
Oh, okay, I don't know
What
that is.
studio?
Yeah.
Lookout
In
Mountain.
Atlanta?
Lookout Mountain.
Lookout
It's
Mountain.
called Prism Records.
Yeah, and that was the guy who, if I remember correctly, he had like a pyramid in his backyard.
Yeah, he built this weird
Yeah.
pyramid. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. And Nick, I remember I was like probably 7 or maybe 9 or 10, and Nick was like 15, and like he especially, but we both felt creeped out in that place. So like, yeah, those places,
They exist.
yeah, but
Yeah.
they did. I think, well, and that trip to New York is that what inspired you to do Henry Half Moon, or did that dovetail into it?
It dovetailed into it
Okay.
because I had already
gotcha.
decided that I wanted to write Henry Half Moon.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And you went for her birthday.
yeah, we went for her
right?
birthday. Yeah.
You went for Rihanna's
Yeah.
birthday.
So thanks for being born, Rihanna. Otherwise, there would be no Henry Half Moon. So,
That's
It's
right.
so good though.
she's like, great.
Yeah.
But when do you want to talk about that though? Because it's as far as self-published books, this book, anybody who loves Stranger Things, can pick it up and enjoy this book.
Yeah.
It points straight to Christ in the craziest way. Because I was reading it, I started getting freaked out, like through it, like I was like, I love Jesus because it goes into like
I love
all of
Jesus. Where are you, Jesus?
yeah, because it starts
Please
going
come
into
hang out
all
with me
this
while I read this creepy book.
other stuff, and I'm like, is this like what is this? And I can see how like a lot of Christians are going to think like this is not something for my kids, but it is because it all comes back to Christ, and it's
Well, and the
so
thing is,
good.
well, and those kids, those are the same kids who are watching Supernatural on TV.
Yeah.
And that show for sure does not point to Christ. So, like, if your kids are watching like supernatural or spiritual-esque TV shows, then your kids can read Henry Half Moon.
Yeah,
and
for
like,
sure. And we gotta trust our kids. First of all, okay, this is a rant. Do we even want to do this right now?
Do it.
I know you
Rabbit
guys are
hole.
supposed
Let's
to do
do
it.
it.
I told you to chase rabbits. If there's rabbits,
fine.
I'm gonna
Do it.
Okay, so I have issues with both sides. I have issues with the liberal traditional publishing world. Okay.
Yeah.
But then I have issues with conservative Christians. Because if you have such a problem with all of this that's available for your child right now, that's woke.
Yeah.
Okay. What else is there for them?
What else is there? Right. And
Yeah.
when you talk to people like Gary Wayne or Derek Gilbert or like these guys who are, or if you go on like one of my favorite YouTube channels, probably Alexandria, probably Alexandra, that's what it is. If you listen to any of these people who have a deep behind the scenes understanding of esoterica and all of the esoteric messaging that's going on, there's like nothing. There's nothing in mainstream that doesn't come from a tainted place or hasn't been co-opted,
Sure.
by Satanists or Luciferianism. And so, just like you say, like, where else are you gonna?
I don't think they'd even allow
Here.
Narnia, or like if Lewis wrote Narnia today or Tolkien wrote Lord of the Rings today, I don't think they'd allow it. I don't think it would be allowed.
It wouldn't get
It'd
published.
be too weird, too too magical. You know?
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, that's some of the problems that like I ran into with on the back end with Heavenly Realms is that like people would tell me, well, it's not like I had a guy, the comments aren't there anymore, but not for me. Like I didn't say anything about it. They just weren't there after a day or two. But on our Derek Gilbert interview, A View from the Bunker, when he interviewed us, there was this guy on there who was really mad at me about like how Michael in the series is, not like a winner all the time, or he was mad at me about like how I made, the Archangel's brothers, and all the stuff. And it's like, you know, you get to a weird place where like if you try to please people, you can't please anybody,
Right.
you know.
Oh,
And
for
it's
sure,
like
yeah.
you just have to tell some of these people like ease down, Ripley.
Yeah.
You know, like
because-
it's a story, like fictional characters.
Yep.
Fictional
Yes.
characters.
Yeah.
You know, like
But-
what's
And
the
that,
message?
you know, whether you're traditionally published or self-published, if you're going to write something to be read, you've got to be strong and courageous because people are going to hate it. You know, I mean,
yeah.
people love to hate, you know, and
They do.
they're
It's
not going to write a book
addictive.
themselves. They're not going to write a book.
Right.
You know, isn't that
Right.
the best though? When you like say you've
Yeah.
written a book and people are like, I'm going to write a book.
Yeah. Oh,
I get that
okay.
a lot. Like, I'm going to
Sure
write
you
a
are.
book.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, go
okay.
for it. Yeah. I'll see you in 10 years when you type the
sure
end.
you will. No,
know?
I get the hey, I've got a great idea for a book. You know what you should write? That's what they say.
Yeah.
I got a
Write
great
this
idea
for
for a
me.
book for you to do all the work on.
Yeah. You do all that. That's why like
I don't have
Stephen-
time to write your story idea.
Yeah, I don't
You
want to
write
write your
No.
crap. You know, that was
No.
Stephen Pressfield has such a great
I don't even wanna
response to that
write my
too.
stuff.
Yeah, I don't even want to write my crap. Why would I want to write your crap? Stephen Pressfield, I asked, or I think Nick asked him that question in one of our interviews, and he says my response is always the same. Like, maybe you're the one who should write that book. You know,
Yeah.
Maybe you. Are you asking me to write a book about something? Maybe you should go write that
Mhm.
book instead. You
Mhm.
know, and that does a twofold thing. One, it gets you know that off your theoretical plate so that you don't have to deal with it. But also, like, if that person has that idea, you know, the muse is scratching at that person's brain, you know, for a reason. So maybe they're the ones to pick up that mantle. Don't refuse the call, people. Take up the mantle. You know.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like did we ever find out what Rihanna was talking about with the thing? She had made a comment about the thing, something that you're
Oh yeah.
about Henry Halfman,
Henry
Half
in
Moon,
New
yeah,
York.
yeah, and I
all
kind of
that
touched
stuff.
on this earlier. You know, we kind of chatted about this, but with Henry Half Moon, we went to New York.
Oh, I do.
I gathered all the information. We came home, and I was finishing the book.
Yeah.
Published
I
it,
remember this.
and I was trying to explain to my mom what this is about, and she said something to. I can't remember if she had a dream or something, but she said something about the half moon and New York. Like there was some sort of connection that I needed to Google.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, okay. So I Googled, you know, Manhattan. Manhattan was founded by a guy named Henry Hudson.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, that's weird.
Hudson River. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
In
Not that
1609.
weird.
And when he sailed up the river and discovered, as Europeans do, Manhattan, his ship was called the Half Moon.
So wild.
Henry on the
Wild.
Half Moon
Yeah.
discovered Manhattan. My mom was like, it was weird. I saw it and I felt, just Google it. This is after I had published
Yeah.
the story
Right.
about a boy named
Wild.
Henry in Manhattan
Yeah.
named Henry Half Moon.
Yeah.
Oh
It
my
was
god.
it blew my mind. I got chills. I
So
got
what is the
goosebumps right now.
backstory with the half moon? Like, is there any? So
You want to
Isn't
know what it
it?
is? It's funny. I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you what it is. So, like with the timepiece, when my son and I were creating it, when we very first started, the kid's name wasn't Hoops.
Oh yeah.
It was Farts McGee.
oh my god! What?
I know. And we changed it.
Typical
we
boy
changed
and his,
to
dad.
Hoops. And we changed it to Hoops. It was a little
Right.
friendlier, a little better, right? So with Henry Half Moon, it wasn't Henry Half Moon originally. It was Harry Half Moon. I'm like, no. I was like, I had originally the kid in my head,
Right.
and I like the idea of the half moon, the phase of the moon crossing over at certain points in the
Yeah.
other dimension. I'm like Harry Half Moon. I'm like, that sounds like a bad plumber joke.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm
Farts
gonna-
McGee
I'll
to
just-
Harry Half Moon.
And so
I'm
I'm-
seeing the logic
yeah,
train
a
here.
Harry Half Moon.
You
That
know?
sounds so stupid. So I'm like, I'll change it to Henry. I like the name Henry. It's the more proper form of Harry.
Yeah.
I'll just change to
Yeah.
Henry. Henry Half Moon. That sounds good. Let's go with that.
Yeah. Plus Harry Potter, like you didn't want to have too much of a crossover, you know,
True,
for
yeah.
you know,
Like,
there is
trying to
you
be
kind of
like
want to
Harry Potter.
avoid.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And then to find out after all that writing and publishing and everything, it was actually a thing.
So wild. I know.
Spooky.
But yeah, and of course I assign meaning to it that I'm like, this is supposed to draw attention to the demons in Manhattan.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yes. I'm still torn up about. I'm gonna spoil. But the death scene in this book is
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so much worse than TV. Like
Yeah.
going through that
Yeah.
was so difficult. It was going through Henry's death. I just spoiled it. It was such
Do it.
It was such a mix of horror and ecstasy because one, you're like, this is so awful, and I didn't want it to happen. I thought, he's not gonna do this. But then the whole time I'm like, this is brilliant writing.
Thank you.
It was
Thank you.
brilliant. But the whole thing is so good. I mean, just every page. I had my purse, so I have
By the way, that's
reading
not how the book ends. It's not necessarily a spoiler, but it is an important development of the plot that enables the ending to happen.
Yeah.
You've
So
got
it's
to
something
write
that has to happen, right?
because it says this is the first book in a family of French mythology. You
I
have
know.
to write the others,
I know.
and I need you to write the others.
Okay.
See?
Gotcha.
I'm telling you.
Gotcha.
It was
Gotcha.
so good.
Well, that's kind of how we got plugged into you. Is you found, I guess you guys got connected on Instagram from the Teddy Roosevelt post,
Right,
and then I guess you found out about the Travelers League, and then did a review, like a multi-entry Instagram review of the timepiece. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. So he commented on, I like Teddy Roosevelt too. That's all he said. And so I go to his page and I see I write books for middle grade readers. So I'm like, well, where are they? Because you don't have them anywhere on your Instagram.
Yeah. I'm not good at
Whoops.
this thing. And that's another thing we wanted to talk about, like promotion
Yes.
and just, I suck at that.
There's
suck
nowhere
at
to be found. So I click on, he does have his link in the bio for nickgoss.com. So I go there and I see all the different colored
those covers. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm like, there's 8 middle grade, because middle grade fantasy self-published is hard to come by, you know?
Really?
There's not a lot of people doing it.
Really?
So I was
They're
like,
too
I'm
scared.
gonna take a chance.
Too
And
Wow.
they look like the covers of the Harry Potter ebooks. They're similar, you know?
Oh, cool.
Which if you
Okay.
mix it
I know what
together,
you're talking about.
brilliant.
Yeah. It's vector imaging and so forth. I know what you're talking about. I'm seeing
So
that.
good. So I was like, I'm going to take a shot. So I get,
And that wasn't intentional. I wasn't trying to copy anything that Harry Potter was doing. When we were going through different designs of possible covers for the books, I had a bunch of them. And actually, Rihanna and I looked at them together, and she was saying, well, as a mom of middle graders, I think this looks really good. I think you should go this direction.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
so smart. Yeah, because they're so eye-catching. They're
Yeah.
so eye-catching. And I was like, I'm going to take a shot, you know, because that's what you're doing when you take a shot on a self-published book.
Yeah, for sure.
A shot.
For sure.
So
Uh-huh.
I got it. And I just kept getting so excited as I was reading it, because I'm like, it's so good. It's so engaging, you know? And then he's a conservative Christian author.
Yeah.
Jim, like,
Jackpot.
So I just started, like, then I got each book, you know, and it was just so good. And so I was like, I told Jason, every Friday we sit out in the garage and have drinks. And I was like, I have found an author, and I'm making it my mission to make them succeed. This is all from somebody who's not that successful.
That's
so
all right.
I got through them. They were so good. I love the whole series, obviously. And then I just came up with the idea to talk about them on Instagram. And then I've always had YouTube. But you guys gave me the idea to start doing the indie author. I'm just going to start a reformation. Just like Martin.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Just like Martin Luther did.
That's great.
So with books. And it's going to start with the timepiece. And so anyway, I have this whole vision.
Cool. And you're going to do live stream, right? You're going to do a live
awesome.
stream on YouTube.
Yep, because I don't know I don't know how to do it. I'm just going to do everything you tell me to, because I don't know how to do anything else. So,
Okay.
and I figure that's probably the easiest thing to, not easiest, but like you just do it and then there it is. You know, you don't have to like edit a bunch. So Anyway.
Not if you do a live stream. No, you don't.
Yeah, and it's pretty easy to rip the audio off, and just from the video, and just plug that in for a podcast.
I'm not a master at knowing how to feed the YouTube algorithm by any stretch of the imagination.
That's a little
any
tougher
of that stuff. But as far as just putting a live stream on there, I can help you. I can show you how to do that. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited about that. You got to have official name. You need like branding for your movement, and you need to like
I have it.
Needs to, like,
it's a very unique name called J. Reese Bradley.
Okay.
Yes.
There you go.
And
right
I'm going
up,
to have you
right up
as my
here.
first guest, and then you're my first guest, then you, and then your lovely wife who's on the chat. I see her.
Yep.
And you again for your kids thing. Your kids.
Yes. Yeah. Podcast that we're doing. We want to talk about this new podcast venture that's going on. It's a podcast just for kids. Just like the Travelers League series. That came from ideas from my kids, and now we're doing a podcast, and every episode is from a submission, a story that some other child wrote and sent to us to read and perform.
Have you shown
That's so good.
Jay your bust back there?
Oh yeah, no. Just to show this
just to prove
this was in January.
He was not kidding.
In January, my good friend Jim Powell,
Tiki Jim,
for my birthday this past January, knows my affinity for Teddy Roosevelt and bought this bronze bust of the man himself.
That's fantastic.
Teddy Roosevelt.
That's
technically it's a graven image,
right?
So,
but I didn't create it, because if I remember the commandment, it's you shall not make for yourself any graven images, and you shall not bow down to them. Those are the exact words of the law. I did not make this, nor do I bow down to it, but it is cool.
It's really cool. Yeah. And he was a cool guy.
He was very
that whole
cool guy.
boxing thing, like being president and like fighting.
There was a great
there's
a great TV movie that was made about him right after Tom Berenger played him. Right after he played Longstreet in Gettysburg, like the early to mid 90s. And I think it just called Teddy Roosevelt and the Roughnecks, or maybe just the Rough
Riders.
Rough Riders. That's what it was. The Rough Riders.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah, and it's like free on YouTube because it's like 20 years old at this point, or 30 years
older,
old.
Yeah.
So yeah. If you're into Teddy Roosevelt, you should totally check it out. Jay, I want to talk about. We're gonna take a quick intermission here, probably in 5-10 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
But before I do, we still have a ton of questions about Brumbletide. I want to ask where the name Brumbletide came from. I want to ask like what the themes of the books are. I want to ask all that stuff. But I really want to know, as someone who has, along with Nick, also written a series of fiction, what is it that did you always plan on having this be a multi-book series, or did this start out as Brumbletide and the Daughter of Eve, and then it blossomed into something more?
No, I did plan on it being 7 books because I love Harry Potter so much. And then when I think it was after, it was either during the writing of Brumbletide or right after that, I read the Chronicles of Narnia, and that was 7. I became obsessed with C.S. Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
I still have OCD. It just doesn't.
It doesn't go away. I'll tell you right now. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I know.
So I became obsessed with C.S. Lewis, and I was like, it has to be 7 books, and so, but I already knew it was going to be 7 books because of Harry Potter.
Yeah. And so your third one just got released today, correct?
Today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And that is called Brumbletide and
the Triad Champion.
The Triad Champion.
Triad
cool.
Champion. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
Like a perilous Olympics.
Now, do you have the same protagonist, the same heroine throughout all 3 books so far?
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome.
Maggie Pruitt.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Maggie Pruitt.
That's going to be really cool because girls like my daughter,
who
are reading this, they're going to get really attached to Maggie,
to
Mags,
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to want to continue that. Yeah, that's neat.
What is it that motivated you to, if I remember correctly, as I was looking through this, it is in, if I'm correct, it's in first person present tense.
Mm-hmm.
I love first person present tense. I hate writing it because it's so tough sometimes.
Yeah.
What motivated you to do that format for the prose?
I just suck so bad at third. I wanted it to be in third. I wanted it
Really?
to be in third, like Harry Potter, but
Yeah.
I just suck so bad at it. And I think it's because I'm so self-absorbed that first person present tense like comes so easily because you're just writing as yourself.
Right.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
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 But it is like I didn't realize how engaging it was until Henry Half Moon, and I'm like, oh, like when he died, I was like, this is horrible. Oh my gosh, you're like right there. Like it was talking about like the groveling of the blood in his lungs, and I'm like, oh, this is awful. But it was so good.
It's a little graphic. It's a little graphic. Yeah.
Good.
Oh,
Good.
but it was so good. It was so good. Oh,
Awesome.
it was so
Well,
good.
are you when you created the character, Maggie? Are you Maggie? Are you writing yourself as a girl, or is she patterned after somebody else that you know?
She has some stuff that there's some true stories in there. Like the first page, I'll tell you about it because I told you this story, but it's fun. But she's not me. I am clumsy. I'm clumsy and like, she's sort of the Neville Long, like if Neville Longbottom had a story, she's kind of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's true stuff like the opening of the book is Maggie is terrified from a prophecy in Pippin's Puzzle, which is the book from the castle. And so she like begs her mom to take her to the castle to find out more about it. And that was me when I was 8 and watched The Omen. And so I'm 8 years old. My parents, we were basically Married with Children, Simpsons. That was like my family.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I love them. I love us.
Yeah.
But that was us.
Good.
Anyway, so they're watching a rated R horror movie, and I'm just watching it along with them. And I'm like looking at it. I'm like, what in the world is this about? And so I asked my mom, what is this movie, The Omen? And she's like, oh, this is actually inspired by the Bible. None of us were Christians at this point, by the way. Okay. And so none of us knew anything, even my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so she not only tells me that this movie is about the son of Satan, but that it was inspired by the book of Revelation. And so she opens the Bible and reads it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I threw up for years. Like threw up from fear for years.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God.
Uh-huh.
And I was just like, why is no one doing anything? Like if the world is getting ready to end any minute in my 8-year-old mind, if we're on the verge of tribulation and the end of the world, why is no one freaking out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is terrifying.
It's a good point.
Yeah, like I'm taking crazy pills.
That's when we started going to church.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was like, Mom, let's go to church. We have to go.
And I love that because I totally see that, like in the first couple chapters of the story. She's like, can we please go? Can we go to Emily?
Cute.
I really want to go. Can we go? And she drags her mom, and her mom's telling her, well, when anyway, I won't say too much, but so that's basically your family. That was so you kind of wrote family similar to what you grew up with in this book, right?
In a very
Maggie's family.
Yeah, my mom is not the mom. Like that wicked mom. My mom is not that. Yeah. But similar, kind of wanting to be like, have it be what it is. Like we ate in the living room and we had we had a table that had benches and we'd like drag the bench and Dad and Mom would sit in chairs and eat in front of the TV, and then me and my youngest brother would, we got to talk about that. The brothers. Anyway. But we would eat.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
We are doppelgangers.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
It's so wild.
And she's number 3 in the pecking order.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right.
4 kids. Do you know this, Nick? We each have 4 kids. I don't think I do. Yeah. Okay. You guys have 4 brothers, but 2 are half siblings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then we have 3 boys and 1 girl, me. And I'm the 3rd. But anyway, but we're half siblings.
Yeah.
The two oldest are half the same mom. Anyway.
Right. Okay.
So we're doppelganger families, you and I.
Got it. Yep. Yep.
I can't wait to hang with your brothers, by the way.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun being on their podcast.
On the Dancing with Ourselves podcast. That is gonna be super cool.
I'm gonna be wanting to talk about Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Strange Brew.
Yep.
Strange Brew. Yeah.
And man, they already did Big Trouble in Little China, and that was like I was like so looking forward to talking about that. They've already covered it. Yeah, I might still bring.
No, he's not allowed. I told him.
Yeah.
We'll have to come up with something else. Don't worry, there's plenty to
Have a
choose
good time.
from. I mean, we're talking the 80s. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
Okay, we are at the 55-minute mark. You want to take just a brief intermission, and then Reese Bradley, we're gonna have you back. I got a bunch of other questions about Brumbletide and writing, being an author, cover design, self-publishing, the joys of self-publishing that I want to ask. So
yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna run if that's all right, we're gonna run our 4-minute timer, refresh ourselves, and we'll be back in technically 3 minutes and 57 seconds.
3:57.
You good for that?
Good.
All right. Here we go.
Cool.
We'll be back in 3:57. Who are we? Well, we're the Gosslings live streaming podcast, that's who. We are a dark-lit digital speakeasy of free thinkers, deep divers, and professional artists, all waging a rebellion against the beast system and its hoary minions of internet censorship. And what does that mean? Well, during the Prohibition era of the 1920s, alcohol was outlawed in America. Illegal industries arose to meet the demands of people who, through no fault of their own, were being coerced by their government to conform to tyrannical cultural expectations. Speakeasies arose throughout the country, secret underground hangouts where people could gather in solidarity and enjoy the freedoms that they once had but were told are now punishable by arbitrary fiat. In the draconian hellscape that is today's cyberspace world, truthful content is considered contraband, prohibited by our nanny state technomasters, our faceless, finger-wagging, benevolent overlords who decided for us, oh thank goodness, what speech is to be protected versus what naughty topics are verboten. And the complex pseudo-legal codex which defines this punitive overwatch is known as none other than the dreaded community guidelines. But here at the Gosslings, we don't cotton to that nonsense. No, sir. As your insufferably self-absorbed, disarmingly self-deprecating, and mostly harmless hosts, we have meticulously scoured YouTube's unholy technocratic scriptures of community guidelines that would let us wiggle free of this dastardly mortal coil ensnaring what remains of liberty and logos. And what did we find? Well, not a darn thing. So, we've taken it upon ourselves to provide an alternative solution that's sure to scratch your freedom-loving itch. And what do most of you, our faithful viewers and listeners, want to talk about? Well, we can't tell you because on this platform, that's simply not allowed. That's exactly why you should head on over to patreon.com/The Gosslings and become an exclusive member right now. Do it now. After all, where else are you going to get the kind of truth bombs and wild theories from some of our most fascinating guests and other like-minded individuals in this age of decentralized propaganda and depressing isolation? We want to violate all of YouTube's community guidelines and violate them hard. With you, dear audience member, just not here on YouTube. We want to do it away from the insidious monitor bots scouring every spoken word and the unregulated doublespeak of YouTube's serpentine hive mind of woke AI. So for only $5 a month, you can become an honorary member of the Gosslings. You'll get access to exclusive content and interviews where we talk about all the naughty topics, baby, and say every no-no word that the algorithm wouldn't let you so much as think about on our standard YouTube live stream. And if this wasn't bad boy enough for you, you'll get a 15% discount on all of our merchandise, free digital downloads of selections from our writing material, and, check this out, access to our monthly Discord chat, which we like to call the Gosslings After Party. Because what good is a victory if you can't celebrate it afterwards? So head on over to patreon.com/The Gosslings or just click the link in the show notes and become an exclusive member today.
And we are back with.
We'll be
Jay
back
Reese
in
Bradley.
357.
Oh,
No, we won't. No, we won't. No, we won't.
I think that's the second time that's happened.
Yeah, that's the coffee. That's the coffee finger.
Jay Reese Bradley,
Welcome
author
back.
of the Brumbletide series. First book is Brumbletide and the Daughter of Eve. I love this cover, by the way.
Thank you.
This is super cool. Tell us about the cover.
Okay, it's got some of the castle on there. Castle Emily. That's Magnus. Magnus, my flying pig from Brumbletide. There's these creatures called war mouths. So I don't think I actually said what the book was about. I told you I was going to chase a bunch of rabbits.
Yeah.
So
we do too. So
yeah.
Go for it. Go for it.
So okay, it's about a young girl, Maggie Pruitt, who is she lives in a small coastal town called Little Ipswich, and it's normal in every way. Floating in the sea about 3 miles out is this magic miraculous castle where the general public comes to be treated as royalty. So just anybody from the town can go and have a gown and crown and throne, a feast, and be called Your Majesty. And there's these magical creatures, these like little flying children called snickerlings, and they wait on you hand and foot. And the castle doesn't know about them, but there's a creatures called war mouths, and that's what Magnus is. He's a creature from Brumbletide, and he is a war mouth, and he is a flying pig. But any animal with wings is a war mouth. But the castle has its own school inside where your young royals can be groomed into their destiny. And Maggie gets scared by the prophecy in Pippin's puzzle that this castle's known for. And so she begs her mom to take her to find out more about it. And once they go, Maggie's mom gets sucked into the pomp and circumstance of it all and ends up enrolling Maggie into this school. So they can't afford it, but like it or not, she's part of this thing now.
Yeah.
And so she joins the school and she's living there, and come to find out she's a daughter of one of these 7 highly esteemed ancestors that they all look up to.
Cool.
That lived 700 years ago. And so that's why she's a daughter of Eve. Eve is one of the 7.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And so so the more she's in this castle, she realizes that this is not something good. This is something wicked. And she goes to, there's a dungeon and then a catacombs. And in the catacombs, the room of the dead, she realized, I was going to spoil it for you, Nick. I'm going to spoil it. I'm sorry. But in the room of the dead, she realizes that this castle, Emily Castle, is the magic is being fueled by slain snickerlings. So these magnificent creatures that are flying around and serving everyone, little children, they're immortal children. They are being murdered, and their wings are being nailed to the basement of the castle, and that's how it's able to stay afloat. But also in the basement is this gets really fantastical, but there's a snow globe.
Okay.
A big snow globe, okay? And it's called the Axiom. And it looks like, snow globes, how they have like stuff inside, like a castle or like something.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a miniature Emily, Maggie thinks. But you can go inside, there's a door, and she knew this because Lenore took her there. Okay, the head of castle took her. But it was silent inside because in the Axiom is Brumbletide. In the basement of the big lie, that everyone is worshiping themselves in the basement of it is the true kingdom. And she goes, and anybody who truly desires Brumbletide can see it. They can see it, and in there is the ancestors that everybody thinks are dead. They're alive, and they can stay alive in Brumbletide. And anybody who has the right motives can see them. But anybody who wants Emily, it's a dead kingdom to them. Just looks like Emily, and there's no anyway. So
interesting.
So the whole series is Maggie bringing this truth to the people, And some people love it, and they, in the third book, people are starting to come around. But but some people are going to do anything to keep Emily going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very relevant to what has been revealed in the past several years with with certain things from the QAnon thing, adrenochrome, Epstein Island, like
kind of an analog.
And Moloch,
the Shining City has some dark things going on in the basement,
built on the bones of children. Dude, that's such a cool thing. It's a terrible thing, but it's such a great thing to draw from, that Moloch underbelly, that dark underbelly that has probably persisted throughout all of civilization.
The sacrifice of the innocent.
Yeah, it really is. Why that? Why did you go with that? What was it that inspired you to write it like that?
I don't know.
Honest answer.
I don't know. It was just such, writing the book, it was like, it just kept like coming to me, I don't know. And so I just, not to sound like spiritual or anything, it's not like that. I'm totally a pantser.
Yeah.
And for people that don't know, that's somebody
too.
that just flies by the seat of their pants. So, I just went where the adventure took me, and it was very exciting. I loved it. So
that, honestly, that kind of seems like where the purest and most needed ideas come from in a lot of ways for fiction, or for any sort of creative endeavor, is that like you don't, and Pressfield talks about this too, just being sort of an instrument for the muse. It's not that you have carefully crafted this thing and you've meticulously cultivated it. There's George R. Martin talks about how there are two types of writers. There's the architect, and then there's the gardener. And the architect finally crafts everything, and if any pipe or angle or chair is out of whack, then the whole thing collapses. The gardener just sort of cultivates and lets the ideas come through. And I tend to think that that's where all the best material really comes from, is just setting your ego aside, setting your agenda or your ambitions aside, and just being an instrument for whatever, good force that is that's coming through. I think it's actually like a very godly thing in a lot of ways, Yeah. And a lot of kids need to, it's good for kids to read that, because you want kids to retain their innocence, but you don't want kids to be mollycoddled at the same time, because then they're not going to be prepared for this awful world that they're stepping into,
Sure. Yeah.
So,
to keep them from real kind of detrimental for them.
Yeah, you're doing a disservice. Peterson calls it the Oedipal mother complex, where you view your child as the precious Christ baby and everything else is the evil serpent that you have to step on. And that's how you get like a 35-year-old child who doesn't know how to do their laundry and never leaves the house.
Right.
So.
Oh man. Yeah. That was me, not at 35, thankfully. But when I dropped out of school, I was like the most spoiled. I mean, just self and it was awful. And I started working at Waffle House. I told you that because I was too young.
Yep.
Yes. I was too young to serve alcohol. So I planned to 6 months until I could get my liquor license and go serve somewhere else. But I ended up staying 6 years. And but my first week, they put me on third shift, which is 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. So I'm like 16.
Awesome.
Like have never even been away from home. Decided to run away and start Waffle House. Anyway, I thought all I had to do was just serve the people, clean up the tables, and make my money and go home. So I did that for a week. And I even remember thinking, I wonder who they hire to like clean the windows and sweep the floor and stuff. And I was getting ready to go home one morning, and there was this waitress that worked first shift named Michelle Picklesmeyer. That was her name. Picklesmeyer. Yeah.
Awesome.
And so anyway, she was like, "Where are you going?" And I was like, "I'm going home." And she goes, "You're not going anywhere. You have ruined our lives for the past 5 days because you have not done anything but make your money." And I was sobbing awful, but if it wasn't for her, I probably would never have work ethic. There's such a hard job. But thank God for it. Thank God.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
so
for
hard.
sure.
Yeah, but
That's funny.
I was
Were
that
you?
spoiled kid.
No, you're. You're not a Georgia native, are you? I can't remember.
Yep.
You are a Georgia native. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah. Our dad's family. Our dad is from Georgia, Cartersville, like North
Yeah.
Georgia. So.
Yep.
Yeah. That's. I was gonna say, yeah. If you're working at Waffle House at 16, that's probably a Southeast thing in the United States. I don't know if there are too many,
Probably.
Waffle Houses out in California. So yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
For people, yes. Yeah. Yep.
Well, I would like to get back to the idea of the sacrifice of childhood innocence, and specifically for profit, which is kind of what I think traditional publishing has become. I'd like to talk a little bit about how kids' literature has gone woke, and they're just insistent that the only books they're going to push to market are ones that have, I mean, they're just agenda laced garbage.
Yeah.
That will ram down the throats of our children things that they are not ready for, concepts that they are not ready for. Talk a little bit about loosely. And by the way, if you guys are watching this, you really need to, first of all, you really need to subscribe.
Yeah.
And you also need to go over and sign up on the Patreon page, because we had a very in-depth exclusive interview with Jay Reese about this just earlier. And you'll be able to find it there. But touch on just kind of briefly what you've seen writing into the middle grade space as it pertains to wokeism in KidLit.
Yeah. Woke in general is in KidLit. So if any new books you're buying are going to be woke because of especially in the past few years there has been a huge call for diverse books, which that is not only the promotion of but the celebration of when I was on submission, I was thinking diverse was like celebration of all kinds of cultures and races, which
right.
I was
That's
totally
what diversity used to mean. That.
Yes, that's what I thought it meant. And
yeah.
So I even queried an agent saying diverse, but my book is not diverse because that's not what it means.
Right.
It's promotion and celebration of LGBTQ couples in children's books. And I'm going to add in children's books because I think we think, they're safe, but they're not.
Yeah.
But LGBTQ celebration in children's books, normalizing that, transgender, the pronouns, the CRT, all that, is the promotion and celebration of these things in books, but children's books. And you can go to any Twitter page of any publisher, but especially the editors, and see for yourself that these are what is coming out. And it's not the same as before. We have talked about this before, that before, maybe for sure 10 years ago, not 5 years ago, but you could have just kept your mouth shut. If you weren't on board with the radical liberal agenda, you could have just kept your mouth shut and may have been published, traditionally, but you would have had to keep your mouth shut about any of your politics, anything like that, unless you were like a Ben Shapiro. I mean, he's making tons of money. You know what I mean?
Too big to fail, kind of.
Right. Too big to fail. Exactly. Yes. But you're not going to come from the slush pile and get,
right.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It was slim back then, but now it's non-existent. Anyway, and especially with 2020 when COVID happened and George Floyd and all of that situation where it just became so polarized that you're not getting published.
The industry's polarized as well.
I'm sorry.
The industry's polarized as well.
Yes. So as far as kids go, I don't know why. Besides that, it's
weird,
the
isn't
fallen
it?
world that they're doing that to children. I don't know.
It's pretty insidious. It's insidious. I wouldn't even actually call it insidious anymore because there's a clandestine aspect to being insidious. It's more just blatant and overt at this point. When you have drag time story hour, I mean, how much, and you have, the bathroom situation, I get that there are people who, they feel marginalized, they feel vulnerable, or they feel threatened because they're on the fringes of society. But the thing is, you can't run a civilized society off of that metric. Like that aspect of society does not foster long-term multi-generational society. There has to be a framework, there has to be a structure, and somebody has to have the kids, that are going to inherit the society when you go, and so the traditional nuclear family value structure, I think it's an inhuman, I think it's an anti-human agenda. I also think that it's a transhuman agenda, that like eventually in the next 50 years we're getting to a point where like the narrative is going to be, well, what do you need this body for anyways, sort of thing, because if you're assaulting procreation, which is effectively what you're doing when you're teaching kids anything other than, grow up and find a nice girl or find a nice boy and get married and have kids. Like, the reason why that stuff is societal mainstream is because that's what perpetuates the race, the society, the human race. That's what keeps, and then a strong traditional family structure is what keeps that unit intact so that those people can grow up, healthily. And they're trying to dismantle all of that stuff, and so when you have things like drag time story hour, like
it makes the blood boil.
I'm so grateful in a way that I'm not married and don't have children because I think I'd be in prison. I think, or
and
homeschooling.
It's so scandalous to say what we're saying right now, to say that, I mean, and I'm afraid we'll even get blocked on YouTube, but
maybe
to go against these narratives, and like even just abortion, it's like, I'm not going to say it because we might get blocked, but like, it's just such a depraved mindset, and to say anything is so true. And it really is 1984. You have to say to yourself, I'm going to hold on to 2 + 2 is 4. 2 + 2 is 4, and I'm going to hold on to that. And it's like that now.
And you read that book pretty recently, so was it kind of mind-blowing reading that book in today's like modern age and climate?
I think it was so. I'm so thankful that I read it right now, because it is like it wouldn't have been. I can see where it would always be mind-blowing, but the fact that they can't call anybody Mr. or Mrs. They have to call everyone comrade.
Right?
So relevant, and then how the big brother was constantly watching them, and we're constantly, even when we're not on YouTube or anything like that, like our phones are watching us, we're getting ads from just stuff we talk about, our phones are
Microsoft listening. Your phones and all the information is going to a database that they built in either Wyoming or Utah about 15 years ago. Once smartphones took off, they bank everything that this device can pick up.
Logged.
It's all logged away. And Microsoft got in trouble for their Xbox Connect recording, using the camera when the machine was not running several years ago. And even laptops, like, put a piece of duct tape over the camera of your laptop because that thing can be recording anytime. and that light may or may not be on when it does, and also your TVs. I mean, and it's in 1984 that like Winston Smith has to go sit in the corner to write in his journal, which is illegal. You're not supposed to write in your journal, but he has to sit in that corner because that's the one area where his TV cannot see him. And nowadays we live in an era where your TVs, like a lot of them can watch you, and they can listen to you. I mean, even the refrigerator. And
we all know that the NSA is doing that.
They're banking everything. Yeah.
And there are certain words that will register that will flag you. Your mic will turn on, your camera will turn on, or you'll be flagged, and they'll take a look. They'll watch you. They're watching, maybe watching us right now.
Yeah.
Hello. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hi, by the way. Not doing anything scandalous, just sharing an opinion.
Yeah.
Just talking about writing stuff. But it is scary. I mean, we basically live there, and we're there now.
Yeah. Well, that's why I like paperbacks so much. Like, did you you've done an ebook version as well, right? Yeah. And then I don't know, are you planning on doing an audiobook for this as well?
No, not right now. I should. I should do.
We got a great narrator if you want one. He's awesome. Adam Burrow.
I know, but
he
he's
sounds
not a
like
girl.
Snape.
Like, you think he'd be a good 13-year-old girl?
I don't know. Maybe
Maybe his wife.
Yeah.
Maybe his wife. I don't know. American.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. That might be. Who knows? He might know somebody, if nothing else.
Yes, I need English girl. Little English.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, he could get Susie to do it. How great! He could get his daughter to do it. How
there you
cool
go.
would that be? Yeah. Legacy of the father.
Yeah.
But that's why I like paperbacks so much, because several years ago when they started going after Huck Finn, I'm a little surprised they haven't gone after H.P. Lovecraft yet with The Rats in the Walls. And some of these other books, if you are only relying on digital media as a reader, as a citizen, it can change at any moment, and there's nothing you can do to get memory hold. But like paperbacks, you can, like, until Fahrenheit, was it Fahrenheit 451? Is that right? Comes along and starts confiscating these things and pulling them out of faux toasters and burning them in front of you. Like, this stuff hangs in there throughout the apocalypse, and you don't need a grid in order to read it.
Well, this is exactly why the typewriter is our logo.
Yeah,
always has been.
that's right.
And our very first, and our very first slogan was, "You can't hack a typewriter."
Yeah, which is true. Well, actually, it's mostly true.
Mostly true.
But you can't hack a typewriter, and we came up with that because there was a story from several years ago, or maybe 15 years ago at this point, I can't remember, where the KGB wrote everything on typewriters in Russia because there was no IT network connected to them. And then it's funny, I talked to a guy one time who worked for the DoD, and he said that, like, well, you actually can, but you have to be in proximity. And what you are able to do, the only way you can hack a typewriter is if you have some sort of a sound recording device somewhere that can record the frequency and the tone of the keys.
Wow.
hitting.
Okay.
Yeah, almost like when you go to dial your phone, each number
Sure.
has a different tone.
Yeah.
It's the same sort
That's
of thing.
wild.
But
That's super
Yeah.
nerd spy stuff right there.
Super
Yeah, no
nerd
kidding.
spy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll never be able to hack my typewriter.
I handwrite all my books. Is that wild?
good.
Do you
I
really?
didn't
That's
know.
awesome.
I didn't know that people didn't do that, and I was telling
Yeah.
my other friend, my writer friend, and she was like, I can't even write in cursive. I was like, oh.
It's awesome.
But, okay, I got to ask you about that. So Roald Dahl handwrote all of his books too.
Oh yeah.
He used a pencil and he'd write his books. That's interesting that you write. That'll be really inspirational to my daughter.
Oh,
actually.
she'll love that. Yeah.
She'll love the
That's
idea
so
that you hand
interesting.
wrote it. So do you write it all out, and when you're done, you go back and do revisions, or do you at that point just transpose it into digital and then do your revisions, or what does that process look like?
I write until I'm done. Like I write until I'm done creatively for the moment, and then I type that,
Okay.
and make
Okay.
some edits, and then I write some more, handwrite, and until I'm done creatively.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
So it's kind of a back and forth,
Mhm.
and also the handwritten one is going to be much different than the one that comes out eventually. But at least if something happens and we have no internet anymore or any electronics, I have something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just enjoy writing. It's very therapeutic for me.
It is. There is, for a long time there, in school, they stopped teaching handwriting, and they certainly stopped teaching cursive. And it's such a detrimental thing. Psychologists were screaming about it, but the government and school systems didn't listen for a few years. They eventually had the kids start writing again because it has been proven that when you write something down, it does imprint it into your memory stronger than if you type it. There is a tactile connection, between your body and whatever you're actually writing.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
makes
it's
sense.
it's such a good habit to have.
There's a similar study too, and Jerry's. I don't know if you are aware of this one or not, but there's something about reading off something printed on a page
Mm-hmm.
that it registers at a deeper level than something
Yeah.
read off of digital,
Off a screen.
off a screen, basically.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything like that?
No, just other than it exercises your mind in a way that the internet doesn't. It's kind of work. It's a lot of work to read a book.
Yeah.
I talked about it on one of my stories just to get people to read. Because
Yeah, I remember that.
it-
That's a good one.
yeah, I mean, because it's better for your memory but
Mhm.
it's hard work. You have to sit down knowing this is not something that's going to be really easy. Like the internet, the social media, that's created to keep our pleasure center stimulated and keep us coming back. So it's not going to be like that. You can't expect that from a book, but it is good for you and it's enjoyable.
Yeah, for sure. And and I think it's actually, for me, and everyone might be different, but I think it's more work for me to read off a screen than it is to read paperback, because on a screen there are other things calling for my attention. I'm reading on a screen, but I know on that same device I have full open access to the internet, all social media, games,
But
movies.
it's convenient.
It's all right there. All I have to do is just move my thumb and it's there. It allows for the distraction to manifest. It allows for the resistance to win. But when you're in a paperback, you have to set it down, go and get the device. It's more steps. It's not as for me, paperback is way easier to read. Or on paper, maybe it's a hardcover, but on paper it's easier to read because I'm not fighting the distractions.
It is. It's not convenient. And so that's when it becomes a discipline. Like I find I cannot read in public. I try never to read in public unless I have to, because my attention is constantly divided. Like I was waiting on somebody for like an hour today, and it would have been a perfect opportunity to get caught up on some reading. But the whole time in the back of my mind, the OCD, is just constantly back there saying like, well, the person could be here any minute. The person could be here any minute, and you're constantly looking up. And that's where like the discipline and the regimentation of your life, of your hours in a day, really come in handy so that you can set aside time. Like you do it. I think you were telling me the other, because I was talking about like Jay, you're such a crazy like prolific reader. You're burning through all these Travelers League books. You're like several chapters into Heavenly Realms. Like how do you find the time as a wife and mom to read? And you were like, oh, I got this, and this.
Yeah, and also you have to read what you want to write. Like if you want to write middle grade novels, you have to read them. Because it just sharpens your skills and you're inspired. Like that. I mean, it's great. It's great that that's part of the job. So it's awesome. You can just take time and make your cup of coffee and just sit and read books. It's great. I love it.
I've got a question. Would you talk about how you run your social media presence, your Instagram and so forth? Because you're really, really good at that. You're really good at that. And as we touched on lightly earlier in the live stream, I suck at it.
I'm even
and
worse.
I would like to learn from you. So maybe top 2 or 3 things that someone can do to really get a bigger audience, be more engaging. How do you do it?
Okay, sure. Yeah. I can't remember what we talked about on here and what we talked about in the is it called premium? The
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
the exclusive.
patron?
I think we're actually going to call it the Illuminati after party.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
the
like
Illuminati.
that.
Yeah, the Illuminati
good.
after party.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah. Anyways.
Black-eyed children. I don't- I'm so scared.
that'll be the graphic for the very first one.
Rainbow.
Oh,
children.
oh gosh, I know. So, I think it was in the Patreon that I was saying, as self-published authors, first of all, we have to market ourselves, and it's not just for ourselves. I think that is a bunch of the fear is that you're gonna come across like I'm so into myself and like just read my stuff because it's so great. You don't want to sound like that, but you have no one is going to read your book if you don't market it. And there's nobody else. When you're a self-published author, there's nobody else to market your book. Even if you pay a marketing company, they're going to teach you how to market yourself, So there's no escaping it. But, I talked about the Reformation, we're wanting conservatives and Christians to have great books with great publishing companies eventually and great bookstores. That's not going to happen if we're not marketing. And I just think of it as God is teaching us, how to do it, because once we know how to market ourselves and then market other great books, I mean, that's where it's at. Eventually we'll have what the liberals have,
Yeah.
So thinking about the greater cause and just that unless you get your book in front of people's eyes, they're not going to read it, and of course, especially to get them away from the Instagram post, all that. So So there's a reason to do it, and it's to get your stuff out there and to get these great books out there. But some tangible things that you can take with you are to focus on 2 platforms. So don't sign up to everything, because there's so many social media platforms. The big ones, of course, are Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. But a lot of people think, I need to be on Minds, I need to be on True Social, I need to be on, all of these, and you don't. Work on 2. Okay, so pick Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and work on those. And with being self-published authors, you're not unless you're a Ben Shapiro with a huge following already, you're not going to be that person who has 0 people that you follow and just thousands of people. So for us, it's thousands of people following you. So for us, it really is about building engagement and a community of readers. They're going to be your audience and kind of friends in a way. And the most important thing, so you pick your 2. Let's say it's going to be Instagram and Twitter. Okay, so you just set aside a time every day, not a lot of time, that you get on there and engage. You're going to post something, and I'll talk about what you're going to post in a minute. But you're going to post something. You're going to comment on other people's things, and not just anybody, but people that have something that you guys can engage together to promote yourselves. So like Nick and I both write middle grade novels. Jonathan and I both write fantasy. I mean, it's not like I'm following some baseball player. I'm
right.
strategically picking people that I know are either going to maybe enjoy my books or they're going to grow the networking. But be genuine. There's nothing worse than than have you been on Twitter and people like respond with their stuff like I just wrote a book, like here's the link, like in the comments. Never do that. It's all about genuinely building relationships, and you just do that by getting in there and just it's easy to do. We just have to set aside a time to do it consistently, and that grows. There's a difference between having thousands and thousands of followers that buy nothing from you and 3,000 followers or even, 700 followers who are engaged and who enjoy your stuff, and who tell their friends about your stuff, that's so much more valuable than than thousands of paid for followers, that aren't going to do a thing. So yeah, you pick 2, you post consistently what you're going to post. Think about it like this. With Instagram, when people go to your page, it's like your storefront. So, we're authors, we have families, we're conservative Christians, so the things that you want to be about, that you want them to know, that's what you're going to post about every day, and it doesn't all have to be book. Okay. But, a book post one day about your book, like what you write, because that's the only people, only way people are going to know that you write something. And then the next day you're going to, post a quote you love, or something to keep going. And then there's just little tricks like, that, just kind of links. Remember, this is a big one. Okay. Don't post anything that is going to take people away from Instagram. You're going to want to post your links to your stuff, like in your stories or on your Facebook post. But because Facebook and Instagram and Twitter don't want their people to leave, you just have to tell them about it the best you possibly can. Because if you post a link, your people aren't going to see it. Only a few people.
Okay.
Yeah.
So their algorithm isn't going to feed a post that links someone off of the platform. Take someone off the platform, basically.
Just very few people will see it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that comes from that self-development. Just take a few minutes, like even 5 minutes, to just watch, like a Gary Vaynerchuk or like a what's his name, Brock Johnson on Instagram. He's great. He keeps up with the latest algorithm stuff, and like a good one lately is if you don't post for like 1 or 2 days, it notifies people when you have a new post. So he says, take a day off,
Interesting.
Just like that. Just,
interesting.
But the most important thing is just to stay consistent and engage the best you can, have quality over quantity.
So when you make time, do you make time on a regular basis? Obviously you're consistent at it. Do you do it during the same time of day, or does that change daily, or how do you manage that?
Yes. Okay. So, okay, this is how it goes. Okay. I take the kids to school. I have my writing time. Then I take a small amount of time for social media. Then I have reading time. Unless I'm having a very obsessive moment and I'm just constantly checking social media all the time.
It happens. Yeah.
Right there with you. Yeah.
So, but I always get back on track. And that's kind of the thing. It's like, like a diet or fitness program, I used to be really big into fitness and one day, it's not what you do, even like if you eat badly for 1 week, but you've eaten healthy for 6 months, it's not going to matter, but it's just just try as consistent that you possibly can,
Yeah.
And you have to have the why. I hate that. I don't know why, but it's so that people read your hard work. You put so much work into this. And I don't know if you heard me talk about Henry Half Moon, but people need to be reading the book.
Yeah. I haven't recouped the cost of the the expense of going and like doing the research actually there in Manhattan. So it deserves more than I gave it for sure. Yeah. It deserves more promotion than I get. I put all that work into it, but I didn't put any work into the promotion. Yeah, mea culpa. I need to do that.
That's great advice though, because it's not too late, right? Yeah.
It's not too late.
I mean, there are so many different avenues. There are so many different platforms. It is a, weirdly enough, social media is for promotion and marketing's sake, almost a land of no gatekeepers. So it's a wall of information that is, it's a surfeit of information. It's too much. And it's like, well, where do you start? It's so hard to find a compass heading. So like what you're talking about is a killer compass heading for a lot of people to navigate those troubled waters of just pick 2 platforms, post, consistently. Don't always post every day so that, your followers, because that's one thing I noticed. Like, my Instagram feed is so infuriating because I don't follow a lot of people, but I'll get like just all this crap that's suggested. And it's like one out of maybe 15 are actual posts by people I actually follow that I actually do want to. And you have to wade through all that crap in order to find the things you do want to find. And so maybe that's the trick. Like, give yourself a day off, like what Brock Johnson, is that the guy's name who
He's
suggested
Brock
that?
Johnson, yeah.
Brock
He's
Johnson,
on Instagram.
okay.
And all of his advice is for Instagram.
That's genius.
That's cool. I'll have to look him up. Yeah, because it is the feed is very frustrating because I've noticed and I counted. This is I was like deliberately
You're talking
scrolling.
about OCD, Jay.
Yeah, every 4th post was an ad.
Yeah,
every 4th post. So 1, 2, 3 ad. 1, 2, 3 ad.
Yeah.
Without end. And then usually in every group of 4, one of them was also recommended.
Right.
Not because I followed anyone, but because they're trying to figure out.
They've paid for it, or there's a hashtag that has a overlap on the Venn diagram.
So I'm getting only half of what I'm seeing is from people that,
that you're there to see.
That I'm there to follow.
Yeah.
I'm not there to see.
You'll never see them.
How right. Yeah, there are some accounts that like, and then when it refreshes, you like, I'll see something that I had seen earlier and I'm like, oh, I actually have a moment to watch this little video, this little Stephen Pressfield video, or this little Boston Be a Man video. It's so
that guy's
funny.
great.
Yeah, the Boston Be a Man guy, he's hilarious, but then like when I open it back up, of course, the feed refreshes itself and now it's gone.
Yep.
And it's not like gone as in it's buried 20 posts down.
You're on a different stream.
You're on a different, right. It's like the train tracks have switched over.
Sure.
And
so
now we're
funny.
headed off.
The meme is gone.
The meme is
gone.
gone.
That great meme. And you're like, no. It's not
Where did I know? Oh my gosh. And you're like, I just wish, please let me remember which account it was that it was under. It was so funny. Well, that's really good advice because marketing is such an intense requirement for being successful in self-publishing in this world of Amazon, KDP, whether it's paperback, ebook, audiobook. You have to. What we are effectively doing is we are taking on all of the profits, but also all of the risks of and time sinks of a traditional publishing company, because as it used to be, you probably heard me talk about it before, but like I tried to get published in the mid to late 2000s twice. I exhausted every entry in the Writer's Digest phone book that I don't even know if you can still buy them anymore, but like what you were talking about with like the slush pile and everything, the standards for getting rejected and thrown into the slush pile were so stringent. Like if it was 12 point times New Roman font, maybe 10 point if you were lucky, 1-inch margins on all the sides, and if you didn't adhere to all of these different things, and each one was different, some wanted cover letters, some wanted sample chapters, any reason, any excuse they could have to throw you in the slush pile, no matter how menial, they absolutely would. But the good thing about it is, even though you would have reduced royalties, you wouldn't have to mess with any of this crap. You didn't have to do any publishing. You didn't have to do any marketing or real promotion. Mm-hmm. That changed along the way somewhere, I think. But, you didn't even really have, unless you had a good relationship with your publisher, a choice in your cover. A lot of books were notorious. Authors used to complain about that all the time, like in the 90s and 2000s, about how, it's like, man, I hate that cover. But, there's a team of, marketing people in a think tank who are probably really, what that probably means is they're in a penthouse hotel with, a table full of cocaine that are figuring out, what, so that's the great thing is about Amazon and self-publishing is you have control of all of that. The bad thing is you have control of all of that, and so like any advice like that you can give for people, that stuff is gold, man, because that eliminates the intimidation factor of like, well, even if I can finish this book, which is a marathon, not a sprint. I mean, that's a Herculean task to finish a novel, even if it's middle grade, even if it's young adult or high fantasy, whatever, romance, it doesn't matter. You then have the real work ahead of you of like promoting and marketing, and how do you spend your money on that, and where do you put your money, and where do you put your time? Because like that's one thing that turns Nick and I off to a lot of that is and probably going to be a little bit different now with your advice that you've given. But like Nick and I, a lot of times we don't do a lot of stuff on Facebook or Instagram, and Twitter's basically dead as far as we're both concerned for us, just because it's like we'll do them in the past and like there's next to no return on investment, and it just becomes a time sink,
Yeah. You just have to figure it out, how to once you have some return, even just a little bit, it kind of spurs, like helps to keep going.
Oh yeah.
But another thing that especially Christians, we do this, like if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And back to my Reformation, Martin Luther thing, because we think, okay, I'm just going to write this book, and if it's meant to be, if God wants this to be a thing, and I know it's coming from a good place because we don't want to be prideful or whatever, but he works through human means, like with the Reformation and Martin Luther, there was a problem in the Catholic Church, indulgences, people are being charged for to have their sins forgiven. God didn't just appear and say, look, there's a problem here. We need to stop doing this. He prepared Martin Luther, and Martin Luther did a lot of work, in the printing press, got his work out there, so he works through us. And that's, I think he's preparing us for our work and just the work of conservatives and Christians to be able to be accessed by the next generation, you know, and we're going to have to know how to market, and they're going to have to know how to market, and so we're learning that. We're learning that, and it's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Today.
I mean, us trying to do all this with the mindset of we have to create this thing and be faithful to move forward and create this reformation, if you will, for the next generation, so they can access what God's done through us, and so that they'll be able to, allow God to work through them and have these platforms and these opportunities for that work to get out there too.
And draw hope
to really
and
about
from the material.
that gives me kind of a new.
I always had this fantasy
why as to get on,
the new why to get back on Instagram.
Buy Henry Halfman.
See, I'm telling you, you're doing the Lord's work.
Jay. You're doing the Lord's work. Yeah, and that and with, I don't know when we're going to talk about this, but the conservatives and Christians need to write cool stuff. You know what I mean? Like, start writing cool stuff. And I mean, this is so cool. Like they're not boring. They're so cool. And I mean, just it's so fun to. I mean, that's what we need. We need like fun stuff, not boring, stupid. And the other thing, I'm chasing the damn rabbits again. I'm sorry, but okay.
That's okay.
But the ones we want, sorry, the children or people that we want to point to Christ's door with our work. Okay, like for me, I want my work to point to Christ's door, and I want it to point someone to Christ's door. Okay,
absolutely.
But that secular, that non-Christian child has no reason to pick up a Christian fiction book. Like he has no reason to go to the Christian fiction section, So
when I tried to get published, that was always my intention, was to have Heavenly Realms in the KidLit section, not the Christian fiction section.
Yes. Yeah. And even if it is, because there is a place for Christian fiction, but make it great,
Right.
Like, that's
make it cool.
Great. Imperium Falling is great. I mean, I'm
thank you.
9 chapters in, but
well,
it's not
the 10th
boring.
chapter is where it falls apart. So,
Stop it. It does not. You say that all the time. You got to stop. I was watching your other things, and you're always saying like, my work's so wordy that don't do that. It's great.
All right.
It's great, you know.
Well, thank you, Jay.
Yeah, but this belongs next to, what's it called? What's the one? It's
The Bible?
YA.
No, just kidding. The Bible. It belongs next to the Bible. It does.
No, the one about the gods.
American Gods.
It's a
Like a
YA
mythology,
novel.
like the Iliad, or
No,
Or
it's a new
like
one.
the Percy. What is it?
Percy Jackson.
Percy
Percy
Jackson.
Jackson.
Yeah.
Like, this
Is that it?
and it's better than Percy. I mean, it's got so
Thank
much
you.
cool stuff in it. And I mean, a non-Christian child can pick up
Yeah.
this book, and even though it ends up at Christianity, the whole thing, I mean, he would enjoy this from front to back.
Yeah.
That was
And
the
that's
intention.
what we need.
That was the intention.
That's what we need. We need stuff
Yeah.
that's going to be on the shelf in the bookstore, not
Yeah.
in the Christian fiction section, even though there's a place for that, because Christians need to be pointed to Christ. Okay. But
Yeah.
but to where that non-Christian child is going to grab it
Yeah.
and read it and love it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like the
Witnessing
kids that grab
tools.
Narnia. There's so many people that became Christians because of Narnia, but Narnia was not in the Christian fiction section.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Witnessing tools. That is the great, opportunity that you have as a Christian fiction writer, as a fiction, or a Christian novelist, is just you have a real opportunity to take your work. We kind of touched on this a little bit with Derek Gilbert, but I don't think we articulated it like this. But you have an opportunity to take your work and witness to people with them in a way that speaks. You can't. You probably learned this in your previous life, but like you have to talk to people. You have to meet people where they're at. You can't meet people where you want them or expect them or think they should be. You have to communicate with them, not necessarily like on their level, but just where they are. Like, if I don't go up to every friend I have and start telling them about like the trouble I'm having writing this one chapter for Pandemonium. You know what I mean? Because like 80% of my friends don't care.
Right.
So
Yeah.
like, do you want to, and relationships and networks are really, really important. I had a guy who had his own publishing company, and it was this very small, very Christian Catholic, driven publishing company, just tiny little, indie publishing company. And we did some great work together. And his heart is certainly in the right place, but ultimately it failed because he just didn't have a network. He didn't like, in the world of self-publishing, you kind of can't expect to succeed if you don't have connections, if you don't have a network, if you don't have relationships built. And that's what so much of this is just building relationships with people, building healthy networks, not for your own selfish gain of marketing or being able, or even just being able to pay off the cover artist,
Right.
but just, building a community of people, of like-minded people, and that's what'll like really carry you through when you get into trouble, because whether it's social media trouble, which is like a phantom trouble, or, it's like you're stuck on something. Well, if you're stuck on something, maybe you can call Jay, and she'll have some great advice for how to like, get you to actually make this thing worth your time.
Oh yeah. Cause it gets so frustrating. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But it's better than traditional. Being rejected 100 times is good. But you're rejected no matter what. That's so important to remember, is that you will be rejected,
Right.
Whether it's traditionally published, that rejection, or just there's people that are going to not like your stuff, and that's okay. And
it's okay. Yeah.
It's okay. You're writing it for the people that do,
Yeah.
And that's, you have to find your audience. That's very important. And this is one thing, and he's probably watching this, but my oldest brother, we have this argument all the time, because I'm like, who is your audience? And he's like, it really is everyone, but it's not everyone. It's not everyone. And you're marketing to your audience.
There's a potential for everyone, but the reality is there is a subset of people that, that are immediately on board. They're waiting at the station to board your train.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And you can definitely draw more people in. There's enough room on the train for everybody, but your audience, at least in the beginning, is always going to be just a certain amount of people, a cluster of people who are just like, they're there waiting for it. You know, they're hungry for whatever it is. Dancing with Ourselves is so awesome, by the way.
Yeah, that's great.
It's so much fun to listen to. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
What
Do you
did
do
you-
all the booking for all of that? Do you like handle all the back of house stuff?
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
That's awesome.
And I edit.
Yeah,
I edit the show.
Oh,
Do you really? Wow,
Nice. Man,
Yeah.
you're regimented in your time, Jay.
that's amazing.
I'm also, just I don't have any other job. Like you guys work. Like
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah,
so it's
Yeah,
great.
that's fair.
those are 8
But,
hours of time that you have that I don't, at least for 5 days in a week.
Right.
But that does not give me the excuse to not do these things.
Yeah, it's never an excuse.
I still have to do
gosh,
these
yeah.
things.
Yeah.
I just have to find the margin and do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's not going to take 8 hours to market. That mostly, and then I just take a small
That's good.
time to zone in on the marketing. If you spend 30 minutes a day, that's not even 30 minutes.
Yeah.
If you spend 20 minutes a day, every day,
Yeah.
and you don't even have to do it. You can Google and see nobody's on the internet on Saturday. So don't even
Interesting. Really?
like Saturday during the day. Nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I rarely am.
Yeah, I
actually.
guess so. Everybody's either out having fun or out running errands they couldn't run because it was the work week.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
you can
book
look it
3
up.
is out, right? This is book 1. Book 3 came out today, live today on Amazon, which is super exciting. Do you already have book 4 written, or are you in the process of writing that?
I'm 8 chapters in.
8
It's
chapters.
so cool.
Awesome.
Yes.
You said 7 books, right? 7 books in your series, at least as of right now.
Yep. Every book
Cool.
has the theme of an ancestor. So Daughter of Eve has the theme of Queen Eve. And she's like the wise queen. They've all been, I'm going to give it all away. But they've all been like rescued from a former life, And so she's gone from like something to being super wise. And her warmouth friend, like her warmouth helper, who she's passed down to Maggie, is Magnus, the flying pig.
Okay.
And she is head of Iron Snout House. So in nobody knows, but in Emily, it's all a replica of Brumbletide, and so they're the Iron Snout. And then the second book is Brumbletide and the Changing of the Crowns, and that is Sarah Lisa's house, and she's like the queen of beauty and parties, and her warmouth is the panther, the winged panther.
Okay.
And she is they each have a class as well in the academy. So Eve's is called Non-Common Sense. That's the name of the
Okay.
class.
Cool.
Called Non-Common Sense. And then Sarah Lisa's is Disposition. And then the third book that came out today is Triad Champion, and that's King George. He's the champion, and he loves hunting and weapons and sports,
Cool.
and that kind of thing. And his house is the champion house.
What
Okay.
a lad.
Nice. A lad.
What a
He was a
total
lad.
lad.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
is.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Sounds like
That's
Prince
awesome.
Henry back when he was cool.
So where can people get your books?
Amazon. Just search Brumbletide and they'll come up.
Awesome.
So-
Do you run ads for your books? Do you do Amazon advertising at all?
No, I heard you talking about it. I was watching your show the other day, and you were talking about how you market your one book. You do a ad on.
Yeah, I pretty much
Amazon.
just market the first book. As far as running an ads, I'll just run ads for the first book. And if it's solid, if people enjoy it, there'll be good read through. There typically is, but
Yeah.
So good.
that
You'll have to-
even
I'm gonna
just
do that.
doing that, it's barely worth it. Barely.
It used to be a lot better.
Yeah.
I think
Sure.
after
so
COVID.
saturated right now
Yeah.
with self-published authors because of COVID, because of the lockdown. A lot of people thought, "Oh, now's the time I'm going to write my book. This is a great opportunity."
Yeah.
I'm locked down, and they wrote their book. They jumped on the platform, they flooded it,
Yeah.
and now you get charged every time someone clicks on a keyword that you had put in your ad. and the cost of the keywords when someone clicks on it has gone through it's ridiculous. To be competitive. It's to get a click on your book based on the keyword that's searching. It's an average of 75 to $1, 75 cents to $1 per click.
Oh, no.
So you better hope
Yeah.
they buy, otherwise you can kiss your royalty goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So it's
awful.
it is tough. And they just Amazon just announced that traditionally published books are now eligible for advertising.
Huh.
So now you're going to have the big houses coming in,
Dumping hundreds of thousands of dollars
dumping
into
major
the latest
coin
James
into running.
Patterson book.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
Great.
jacking up
Buy
the
their
keyword
stupid book.
cost even more.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they're
they're
Hate
stupid
it.
book.
That is
Yeah,
something
it's
to remember, though, that there is very successful traditionally published books that are so horrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is
Oh
true.
yeah.
No
Yeah, there's some
reason.
awful
Even-
books.
Awful. So
Yeah.
even let's say that we're delusional and our books suck, okay?
Uh-huh.
There's worse books that have been successful.
Yeah, it's called American Gods by Neil Gaiman. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't watch it. I watched a couple episodes of the series.
I mean, I haven't seen the show. The show has Ian McShane in it, and I love Ian McShane because of Deadwood. But I read that book about 18 years ago, and I hated it. It actually made me want to stop being friends with the guy who recommended it.
Oh wow, that's
So-
hilarious.
I didn't recommend it, did I?
No,
It wasn't me, was it?
you're still here, aren't
Okay,
you?
good.
Yeah, we're sitting next to each other, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think we make enough money off of this for me to stick around with
That's so
Mr.
funny.
Goodreads over here?
Yeah, I was telling my mom today something Anna did,
Yeah.
whining, and she's in the back seat, and she goes, "Mom, why are you telling her that? I have ears."
I'm right
I
here,
have
Mom.
ears. So good. I know.
That's so cute. How old is she?
She'll be 6, September 12th. September 12th.
That's
she'll be
cute.
6.
Awesome.
Man, that
Awesome.
5 to 8 range. I think that's my favorite range. I got a bunch of nieces and nephews
Yeah.
and everything, and I always
It's so
adore
fun.
that range because it's just the most fun.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
it's such a cute range.
So cute. Yeah.
Let's see. So if you could pick, probably last couple questions, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Because we're kind of cresting the 2-hour mark. This has been awesome, by the way. Thank you, Jay.
Awesome.
We've
Thank
had
you for
Love
so
it.
much
Thank
time.
you so
Such a
much
good
for having
time.
me.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
If there's one theme that you want people to take away from the Brumbletide series, what would that be?
Examine the establishment.
Nice. Okay.
Because you are someplace that you are being treated like royalty, and all of the focus is on yourself and those around you, and in a utopia, there's something beneath it all.
Yeah.
And it's probably wicked. So that's
Yeah. Man, that's true.
leave my one
Hmm.
thing is,
That's good.
examine your establishment, whether it's college, whether it's church, see what's beneath it all.
The job or the talent scout who comes and finds you in the bookstore, or the photographer who just wants to take some headshots,
Yep.
and
I was
maybe turn
thinking,
you into a movie star.
Even if you're a self-published author, you're thinking about becoming a self-published author, and you're wanting to be a writer,
Sure.
and you can't choose which path you're going to take, traditional or self-published. You don't know.
Mhm.
Look at the establishment.
Yeah.
What are you about? Examine it,
Yeah. And
It's vanity
because you will have to draw a line.
Yeah.
As to what you believe,
yeah.
and you're going to have to draw it real quick if you take the traditional route.
Dave Chappelle talked about that. He said, that was why he left, is that, his father gave him that advice when his career started taking off, that, he was like, look, name your price. You're going to, because someday somebody's going to ask you to do something you don't want to do, and you're going to have a price for that,
Yeah,
and
sure.
name your price. What's your cap,
It's good.
And yeah, when you're being treated by
good.
the establishment like your royalty, what are they after?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. And well, especially with that, you're going to be asked to do something you don't want to do. Why are we even doing what we're doing?
Mhm.
I love stories, but I could write stories and not do anything with them. You know what I mean? Like if it's just to write stories, but no, we want to make a difference.
Make a difference.
We want people. We want to make it. Everybody has an agenda. I've said this before. Everyone has an agenda with their work. You know, if you're publishing something, agenda. The people in the bookstores, they have an agenda for your child or for whoever is reading. You know, there's always an underlying something. Nobody's just writing a story and publishing it just because they thought this was some cool things that I can write down on paper. Like, do you know anyone like that? That's just like,
no,
you know,
no.
Just some thought I'm going to share with you. You know, everyone has an agenda. You know,
everybody's got an objective.
Yes.
Yeah.
And ours is to point people to Christ, or to. I mean, I know for us three, it is. You know, even with the Timepiece series. You know, but I think that's the best way. You said meet them where they're at, and me and Nick were talking about cuss words. You know, it's like a lot of parents don't want their kid with any cuss words at all. And it's like, cuss words are so the least of our worries. The least
right. Yeah.
You know?
When they're teaching abortion to children, maybe like, you know, a dirty word is maybe small potatoes. You know?
Yeah. And meet them where they're at. You know, like when I was a child, you know, not in church, you know, married with children, family. I mean, cuss words were part of life. You know, and if a child is reading about this like pristine, you know, it does not connect with them. You know,
that's true. Yeah, that's really true. Yeah,
so,
and how are they?
People,
it's not going to feel real to them.
Yeah, you don't have to drag them through the mud, but I mean, just something to connect your reader to your protagonist and to your story. You know, we love to see ourselves in a story. I know I do. I want to be an Empyrean. So cool with scandal.
No chick angels. Sorry, Jay.
So
I know.
weird.
I know. I'm
is
sorry. There's at least one in there you would be a good simulacrum for. Well, you know, I'll let you know when you get to him. You know?
Well, you know, I understand that perspective on the use of cuss words. I diverge from that opinion a little bit. I think that for a middle grade audience, middle graders and children are not the ones buying their own books. Their parents are. The parents are making the decision as to what to buy, and the parents want to feel like they made a good, wholesome decision for their kid because they know their kid's already being exposed to all those influences. They're hearing all those words. They want to give their child something that they feel like they're not contributing to the morass of language the children are swimming in when they go to school. So when they make a choice, they want to give something to their kids that doesn't have that. And so I try to write that for that group. I don't want there to be those words in there, that type of language in there, but that doesn't mean it can't be engaging and a fantastic tale that takes them away unless their imagination's soar. You don't have to have language for a child to get lost in a fantasy world. Narnia is a great example of that. Harry Potter is actually a really great example of that. That's my opinion. Yes, it's my job to prepare my children for the world, but my job is not to do it by intentionally giving license for them to find entertainment in the things of the world. That's just me. That's just me.
That's good advice.
That is good advice. And that their parents are buying the books for sure.
I mean, the kids are reading it, but I'm not marketing it to the kids. It's
because
the parents.
they're not buying the book.
That's what's so unique about middle grade. You don't get this in any other genre.
That's true.
You are writing for one audience, but marketing to the other, the parent and the grandparent. And I don't know. And I am not really doing much marketing to any of them. That's my problem. That's what I need to do. But there is that weird dichotomy of reader and purchaser, and they're completely two different.
That's interesting.
Two different sets of people right there.
Sure. Yeah. You're exactly right. I didn't think about that. But you're right. Yeah.
Oh,
Well, we
Nick
are excited
Goss.
for you. We are excited for your series. 3 books down, already writing number 4.
Yeah.
And again, thank you for sharing your books with us, and sharing your time. And can't wait to see more of promotion, like of your books on Instagram, of course. Tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all Reese Bradley. I just started doing stuff with my YouTube channel, and that's Reese Bradley.
That's gonna be so fun.
Yeah, I think that's all I'm really on. I'm really into Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. So
Brave
I'm on
woman.
social media too much.
So those are your 2?
Yeah, you're too.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of an addict, so all of them. But yeah, for sure, Twitter is.
You
so
like it.
easy.
You enjoy it, don't you? You enjoy Twitter?
I do enjoy Twitter. Yeah, I know you don't enjoy Twitter, but
I didn't
I
have
do
good.
enjoy
I just
it.
didn't have good experiences. I didn't really.
You might have to teach us. We'll get you back, and you can give us a symposium course on how to enjoy and use Twitter effectively.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
yeah, we could both benefit from a Reese Bradley course. You know?
Yeah. Well, I'll be the first to admit there's a lot I don't know about social media. I can't speak to whether or not Twitter is a good platform to try to sell middle grade fiction. I don't know. All I know about Twitter is that I got on there during the 2020 election season, shot my mouth off, and got canceled instantly. They shut me down.
No.
Yeah,
Wow.
So yeah. So I just I
made it
exchanged.
over.
I opened my mouth. I exchanged feet, and I got on a different platform.
Wow. Oh gosh. Yeah, all of us made mistakes in 2020. That's for sure. Oh my gosh. That's when I was
For real.
like, I'm gonna stop caring about what other people think about my post.
Smart. Yeah, smart move.
That's
Reese
awesome.
Bradley, author of the Brumbletide series. The first book is called Brumbletide and the Daughter of Eve. The second book, what's the name of the second book, real quick?
Brumbletide and the Changing of the Crowns.
Changing of the Crowns. And then the third book is Brumbletide and the Triad of Champions.
Triad Champion.
And the Triad Champion, yes.
Awesome.
You can find her on Instagram and Twitter, where she is the master of social media compared to us because we're so afraid of Twitter. And YouTube as well. She just started a YouTube channel. Check out her books on Amazon. We are delighted to count her as not only a friend, but also the first honorary Gosling.
That's right.
For our Patreon. And she's a big fan of Nick's books. I am delighted that Nick finally has a fan. Because, no, I'm just kidding. And no.
Speaking of that, join Jonathan and I and Reese Bradley.
Yeah.
Go to patreon.com/the Goslings. Sign up. You'll get exclusive videos. There's all kinds of stuff. We're actually creating some unique stuff. I mean, even tonight we're coming up with some more fun things that we're going to share with our patrons. Sign up there. We do a live Discord chat every month. Of course, you get the exclusive content. And there are other perks in there as well. Plus, you can call yourself a Gosling and get some discounts on these really cool T-shirts.
Yeah, these sweet T-shirts. And Jay, you're since you're a Patreon member and you're in the Discord chat, once a month, if time allows, you will be there as well. Correct?
Yep. Yes, I loved it. That was so funny because you talked to us. You talked to us and you could hear us. And so I thought I was just going to be doing watching you on the live stream. And so you went, hey, and I went, can you hear me?
It was awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
It was awesome though. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was so
cool.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
And this is Jay in like non-broadcast form. Like this is not, Jay's exuberance, Jay's, bright, shiny disposition is not that's not a persona. In psychological terms, that is absolutely who she is all the time, and it has to be because no one else would have that much energy to keep that up if it weren't genuine,
Right.
So
and I can't sell anything I hate.
Right.
Yeah. So it's genuine. Otherwise, I'm just not going to talk about it at all.
Yeah, that's right.
That's awesome.
We're very humbled and honored and flattered, and we love Jay. We love Jay's books. Her stuff is awesome. Thank you, and we are going to have you back. We should have some time in. I think either October or November. We we might be able to get you back pretty soon. So for round 2, it'd be a lot of fun.
Yep.
So
all right, well, it's good to talk again. Thank you for being on, and we'll catch you. I guess we'll catch you on Instagram.
Yeah,
get ready, because I'm going to start posting stuff, and it's going to be obnoxious.
No,
It's going to be. I'm not. I'm gonna.
Yeah,
I'm
if you
gonna
don't,
put. I got a
I'm-
plan. You told me exactly what to do.
we're gonna do a whole relaunch. A relaunch.
I
Of Henry
really
Hammond.
need to. I need to.
We're-
I really need
You
to.
are. You're going.
I like it. Yes, this is what Nick needs.
Yeah,
This
this
is
is
good.
what I. That's exactly right. Exactly right. Awesome.
Jay, you're a diamond. We love you, kid. Thank
You
you.
guys are. It's so fun. Thank you so much for having me.
No,
You
this
bet.
is awesome.
You bet.
Have a good rest of your Sunday.
All right. See you later.
Bye. How cool is that?
Man, she's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
She's awesome, man. Jay Reese Bradley, everybody.
Jay Reese Bradley. I still wanted to ask her. We'll get her back, but I wanted to ask her what her interest in dark fairy tales was, and I wanted to ask her what if like her OCD helps her more than it hurts her as an artist, as an author. You know, because I know what that feels like as an ADHD/OCD kid. Yeah, you have my heart
The
goes
struggle's
out
real.
to you.
Yeah.
The struggle is real.
Yeah, for real.
I know exactly what it's like. But man, awesome interview.
Yeah, that's a
That was
great interview. She was really fun and engaging to talk to.
Yeah.
Let me do this before we end the live stream.
we got to jump off.
I got to
there.
do this, the obligatory, but ever so important. Take up the broken finger and strike down the subscribe button and hit the button and then comment I subscribed or make a comment.
let us know.
We will reply to you. We will respond to you, but really help us right now. It's really important right now because I don't know if you looked, but as of yesterday, our subscriber number was 666.
Uh-oh.
So we need your help, guys. We need your help. Don't leave us here.
Don't tell
leave us
Gary
here.
Wayne.
Yeah, don't leave us at 666, guys. We need your help.
Yeah. Please.
If you're the one that gets us over that hump, comment and let us know because you have saved the show.
Yeah, you have saved us from the devil's curse.
You have obliterated the omen.
We're in the devil's interval right now.
That's the devil's interval.
We're in the
That's
devil's
what it is.
interval.
Exactly.
Dun, dun, dun,
Exactly.
dun. Yeah, get us out.
But you can find us on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, and Patreon / patreon.com/the Gosslings. Sign up.
Yeah.
We posting stuff on that throughout the week. We'd love to stay in touch with you guys. It's so fun.
Yeah. And Nick and I, operate a lot of this at a loss. And it'll probably be a loss for a long time. But if you enjoy it, if you find this, through either, searching for Gary Wayne or Derek Gilbert or Jay Reese Bradley or Stephen Pressfield, or any of the other amazing people that we've interviewed, if you like this, become a Patreon member so that honestly, like Nick and I would prefer to do this full time.
I'd love to do this all the time.
Yeah.
I'd love to do a video.
Nick and I have
a week,
day jobs.
Couple videos a week. I mean,
yeah.
If he could get to that point, we'd do it. We'd bring the heat. We'd bring you all the interview. We just need more time. There's some equipment things we need and so forth. We need a producer. We need some camera switching. We've talked about a lot of things we need. Anyway, that's all boring stuff to you guys. But that said, becoming a Patreon member helps us make the show better and bring you more content and more interviews. And that's what we want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's $5 a month, and we got a ton of stuff that we're willing to throw at you.
It's a cup of coffee. It's a cup of Starbucks coffee. Not that I'd give that company my money.
Yeah,
but it's a cup of nice coffee. Give me a nice coffee. Don't go with that. None of that Folgers crap. Okay.
Give me some of that.
Give me that
Dunkachino.
Yeah, none of that.
I'm like the king of Dunkin'.
Yeah, but help us out as best you can. We really appreciate it. And we hope to see you guys there. Next week, do we have anything lined up for next week?
We might. We might have. The 28th.
No,
negative. We don't have anything lined up for the 28th. Okay. I am going to be indisposed. I'm going to be out of pocket that Sunday. It'll be a nice break for us, though, because there is potential that every Sunday from now until November is booked.
Yeah.
So
got a big lineup for you guys.
We have a huge lineup through September. We might have the first Sunday of September off, or we might do a solo stream. There's also the possibility of the return of Ginger Patriot. So
that would be amazing.
That's going to be great. And then September 11th, we're going to have Derek Gilbert and Gary Wayne on at the same time. So
it's going to be huge.
Yeah, dude,
on September 11th.
Amazing. You want to watch that. And then we have some other people lined up. Roxana is coming back to talk about the map for Empyrean Falling that she made. We're going to have some other cool people between now and then. And then Stephen Pressfield just confirmed earlier today that he is going to be available for the first Fireside Chats with Uncle Steve on October 23rd.
Yeah.
So that might be Patreon exclusive content.
It
might
might
not.
be,
We're going to
Steven.
put that under review.
We're going to have Ryan Pitterson on, I believe that's October 2nd or the 9th. One of those two. I can't remember which one. I think it's the 9th that we have Ryan Pitterson, the author of The Nephilim Judgment and The Final Nephilim. Awesome book. I'm about a third of the way through it. It is so solid. He makes so many brilliant points. I can't wait to I got so many questions for him. And then on October 30th, Halloween weekend.
Halloween, baby.
We got something special lined up for you guys.
Yeah. Courtesy of Reese Bradley.
Yes.
She's the one who connected us on this. I'm telling you, she's killer.
Yes. And we will announce what that is, first of all, in our Patreon page. Our patrons will know who we're going to be talking to and what that'll be about. But it is relevant to Halloween weekend. It's going to be spooky. It's going to be awesome. So we got a lot of great things lined up, guys. And appreciate y'all watching.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's anything else I have to say. I think I did all the things. Did
I
do all the
t-shirts
things
on Teespring?
Yeah. T-shirts. You can get these amazing T-shirts. Interviews to Strike Down the Darkness.
Yeah, there's so many cool logos. We've come up with some really fun stuff. We need to make that Stephen Pressfield shirt live.
He said we could do that.
Yeah, because he said we could do. We made like a special for our last interview. We to promote his new book, Put Your Ass Where Your Heart Wants to Be. We made like a special T-shirt with his title around our logo, you know, and with his name at the bottom. So if you're a fan of Stephen Pressfield's and you're a fan of the Goslings, like you should probably tag up on one of those T-shirts.
You should.
I wear these. I actually like, no joke, I wear these every day as my undershirts.
Yeah,
like awesome. Everywhere I go, wear a polo or a button-up shirt. Over them.
Well, these are the really super soft tri-blends.
Yeah, the tri-blend, they're super comfortable.
Oh, they're the best.
I'm not kidding, by the way. Like, I really do wear these all the time. I literally have like one other shirt that I wear underneath my collared shirts.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like a dry fit shirt that like you can't wear in you can wear it in Walmart because you can wear anything in Walmart. But you know,
you want to do one last shout out to our unofficial in-kind sponsor?
Yes, I do. We did not mention this at the beginning. I want to mention it now. You've seen these mugs the whole time we've been doing this show that we've been drinking out of. These are these Spartan Kothon mugs made by Joel Cherico of Cherico Pottery. ChericoPottery.com, CHERRICO, I believe. It's either 2 R's or 2 C's.
It's 2 R's.
2 R's and 1 C.
Yep.
Yeah, CHERRICO, pottery.com. He's on Facebook. He's on Instagram. He made these specifically in conjunction with Stephen Pressfield's latest novel, A Man at Arms, kind of inspired by, I would say inspired by Gates of Fire, but really it was really inspired by an actual historical account. Was it Plutarch who made it? I can't remember who it was. So historically based, very well made, beautiful. He makes these in limited batches, so but we love him. And he sent us some. He has been incredibly kind, very, very industrious. He works all the time, and his stuff is super cool.
Yep.
Cherico Pottery. Yeah.
Check him out, Cherico Pottery.
Yeah.
Awesome. And let's see, is there anything else? Let's give a shout out to the people who are on the chat. My lovely wife, Rayana Goss, was on Homeschool. Rayana Goss, thank you for that. And also Mama Shaw OC, which I believe is a friend of Jay Reese's.
Yeah,
I'm not sure who else is watching.
Michael Lombardo.
Yeah, Michael Lombardo was watching as well. Adam dropped in. Adam, thank you.
Yeah, Adam's our narrator.
Adam, the man. And it's still like our little view counter thing up here says that there's still a couple people watching. If we haven't,
they fell asleep.
They might be. I have that effect on people.
We do put people to sleep, actually. Yeah.
But thank you guys. Thanks for hanging in there with us. And you know, again, comments, we'll be happy to reply. But just want to give you a shout out for hanging with us on a Sunday afternoon. It's been a blast.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We've been angling for this with Jay for probably, it was a fast friendship. I think we started talking to Jay like maybe 3 weeks or a month ago.
About 3 weeks ago.
And she's great, man. She fits right in.
Can't wait for a new YouTube thing. That's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. So we're gonna be on her channel at some point, and then we got to get her back. So she is dynamite. Brumbletide and the Daughter of Eve, Reese Bradley. Check it out on Amazon, and then go follow her on Instagram. and we will, I guess, reconvene at a later date.
We'll see you guys in probably week after next. That's
Yeah.
what we're shooting for, but we'll be in touch. Oh, we got one more comment here. Let's see. Oh, Mama Shows joining the Patreon right now. Awesome. Shout out to you, our newest patron. You're amazing.
Yeah,
We'll be connecting with you on Patreon. You are awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah, we greatly
Awesome,
appreciate
awesome.
it. That
Welcome
is
aboard.
amazing.
Welcome
Thank
to the
you.
Goslings.
Welcome to the Goslings.
Very, very cool. Well, you guys have a fantastic week.
Yep.
Go forth, strike down the darkness.
I'm Jonathan.
I'm Nick.
And we are the Goslings.